Bobby Labonte has shown the consistency necessary to win the championship. And speaking of championships, Dale Earnhardt knows all about them. He's only 57 points behind and knows another title is a realistic goal. At Pocono, the tables were turned on the Intimidator. Last year at Bristol, you recall, Dale's bump sent Terry Labonte spinning and Dale to the winner's circle. Last Monday, Jeremy Mayfield's move on the last turn of the last lap dropped Earnhardt to fourth. Sonoma is the next challenge for these Winston Cup drivers on the road course at Sears Point. Earnhardt won his first and only road course event here in 1995, and he had a top 10 finish here last year. With a good finish today, the 7-time champion could move closer to number 8. Labonte, on the other hand, has had his problems here, never finishing better than 4th. In 1999, his 27th place finish was his 3rd worst of the entire year. But he's qualified well this year and hopes to move one step closer to Stock Car's ultimate prize, the NASCAR Winston Cup. The NASCAR 2000 season rolls on today with the 16th of 34 events. Bobby Labonte has been atop points since California in late April. Earnhardt is in his highest points position since Daytona in '99. 5 of the top 10 are separated by 35 points or less. The venue for today is the serene countryside north of San Francisco, the Sonoma Valley, where you'll find beautiful redwoods. But it's mostly known for the vineyards, which produce some of the finest wines in the world. Nestled in that valley is Sears Point Raceway, and all eyes today are on the Save Mart Kragen 350. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to Sears Point, where we have been delighted to come for the last few years for this first of 2 road course races on the NASCAR Winston Cup schedule. In less than a couple of months, we'll be at Watkins Glen for the second. There have been many stories here so far this weekend. Probably the most headline-catching was Rusty Wallace's qualifying run. He broke the track record, but in doing so, he knocked off the sentimental favorite, Kyle Petty. He'll start alongside in row number 1, and there are 41 other drivers who will be chasing them. Let's get the command to get this event underway by going to the public address system.
Gentlemen, start your engines. His record-tying 6 road course victories, including 2 here at Sears Point, earned him the nickname Road Course Rusty. On Friday, Rusty Wallace proved his prowess, shattering the track record and capturing the pole. But the hot lap on Friday that drew the heaviest applause belonged to this Hot Wheels Pontiac driven by Kyle Petty. For the fans and even other competitors who stood and cheered Kyle's efforts, the significance of that lap extended far beyond mere minutes or miles per hour. For a family that had lost their patriarch Lee and their Prince Adam all within 6 weeks, there had been no toothy smiles, just terrible suffering. But on Friday, Kyle proved that perseverance and petty pride could push aside that pain, at least temporarily. Kyle Petty knows that a win today won't change history, and it certainly won't turn back the clock. But it might be the first step toward the healing of a broken heart. Simply put, Rusty Wallace may have the speed, Jeff Gordon may have the string, but Kyle Petty has the spirit and the glow from a very special sun that is shining on him here today.
Jeff Gordon is a familiar face to fans. His car and its colors a familiar sight. A rainbow of reminders of 50 wins and 3 championships. Here at Sears Point, he hopes for a familiar finish and a return to the brightest spotlight of all, the one in Victory Lane. For the last 2.5 years, everyone in the Winston Cup Series has been chasing Jeff Gordon on the road courses. Today, Jeff Gordon is finally doing the chasing history. He has a record 5 straight road course wins, and 1 more would tie him for first on the all-time road course win list. He tested an old car in South Carolina in preparation to defend here in California. He calls this car Old Faithful. Both car and driver hope to live up to their familiar reputation today.
When NASCAR visits the road courses, you have to look at the drivers who excel in the places where they serve both left and right. Mark Martin has 4 career road course victories. He was the last driver to win here at Sears Point before Gordon started his current streak.
Mart checked in third in happy hour. Ricky Rudd is another favorite. 5 career road course victories, including 1 here. But when you talk about road racing specialists, you can't forget about Boris Said, Wally Dallenbach, Robbie Gordon, Scott Pruitt, and John Andretti. They came up on the road courses, and in happy hour, all were within the top 8, with Andretti posting the fastest lap. As for the rookie Pruitt, he spent some time here on Wednesday driving around the course in a street car to refamiliarize himself with the circuit. And it has apparently paid off. He was second fastest in happy hour. So what used to be a 3 or 4 car race during NASCAR's visits to the road courses has now turned into a 10 or 12 car battle. Of course, the mechanical aspect of racing really comes into play here, and for more on that, here are Ned and Benny.
There isn't a race on their circuit that's more of a mechanical exercise than the race today here at Sears Point. These guys will be downshifting to first gear going to turn 11. So that means in a 112-lap race, they'll be shifting over 1,000 times. A lot of chances to make mistakes. And also brakes. They're going to be on the brakes all the way around this really tight racetrack, and some of them may overheat the brakes. Ned, a tough racetrack.
It's tough on the equipment and also tough on the drivers, too. Besides all those gear changes, they got to concentrate fully all the way around this racetrack. If they lose that concentration, they can get in deep trouble in a hurry. And those that are in the points race, boy, you got to be very careful, especially at the end of the race. A lot of cars always finish on the lead lap here. You could be running in the top 5, get off the course, or have some little mishap on the last lap, and you could drop all the way back to 25th or 30th.
And there's not a better example than what happened here at the end of the race last year.
With just a few laps to go, BP, watch the top of your screen. You will see Ricky Rudd get the wheels off the course. He hits the wall on one side of the track, then comes across and collects Ward Burton and Rusty Wallace in the process. All of those drivers were contenders until that happened, but it dropped him to a poor finishing position here at Sears Point. Well, the cars are on the racetrack, and we'll be taking a couple of more warm-up laps before we start this 112-lap event, the Save Mart Kragen 350. We invite you to sit back and enjoy an afternoon of auto racing here on ESPN as the worldwide leader in sports and the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing present the Save Mart Kragen 350. We'll be right back. Length. We have 11 corners, 6 right-handers, and 5 left-hand turns challenging these 43 drivers that have qualified for today's event. And let's check now the Walmart Tire and Lube Express grid. On the pole, his 6th pole of the year 2000 is Rusty Wallace. Kyle Petty has his best qualifying effort since April of 1996. In the second row, Bobby Labonte, 2 top 5s in his 14 road course races, and Tony Stewart, who qualified 2nd and finished 15th in last year's race. Row number 3, Jeff Gordon going for his 6th consecutive road course win, and Sterling Marlin, who equals his best ever start on a road course. In the 4th row, Mark Martin with 4 road course wins, and Bill Elliott, his best was a 3rd in '89. In the 5th row, Scott Pruitt with a lot of road course experience, several wins, including a Trans Am victory here in '87, and Ricky Rudd with 6 top 5s in 11 races at this facility. Back in row number 6, it's Robbie Gordon with also a lot of road course experience, and Jimmy Spencer, a 5th place finish here last year. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, we mentioned this phrase many times throughout the course of the weekend and on NASCAR Today, which just concluded, but I think it bears saying again, there are lots of opportunities for these drivers to make a mistake.
11 corners, that's entry and exit, that's 22 times to make a mistake. Also, they're going to downshift to first gear down in turn 11, the hairpin. So as we said, that's about 1,000 times, 1,000 shifts during the race that if you miss one of those, maybe the engine goes sour. So yeah, lots of chances for mistakes.
You got to keep the cars on the track, keep them on the pavement. That is priority number 1. Yeah, you want the race car set up good so you can get forward traction and all those kind of things, but the driver has to concentrate every second around this racetrack.
Back in the 18th row, we see Johnny Benson and Stacy Compton. Row 19, the provisional starters, Ward Burton, who crashed hard here in qualifying, rolled the car over, as a matter of fact. Matt Kenseth will be starting next to him in the 19th row. Then, last week's winner, Jeremy Mayfield, who took a provisional to get into this one. Chad Little will be alongside in the 20th row. In the 21st row, we have Robert Presley and Kenny Irwin. And starting all alone back in the 22nd row, the 43rd starting position goes to Dave Blaney. Now, 3 drivers failed to qualify for this event. Jeffrey Bodine, Rick Mast, and R.K. Smith, who is driving the 71 car, normally piloted by Dave Marcus.
Onboard cameras today, Matt Kenseth has the Briggs and Stratton onboard camera. He starts in the 30th position. Elliott Sadler has the Citgo on board. He starts 32nd today. Jeff Burton has the Parks Plus onboard camera. Jeff will start 30th. Boris said his first race this year in NASCAR Winston Cup, the Federated Auto Parts onboard camera. He starts 23rd. Dale Jarrett has the Ford Quality Care on board. He starts 18th. Mark Martin, the Valvoline onboard camera. Mark starts in the 7th position. Bobby Labonte has the Circuit City onboard camera. He starts in 3rd position. And Rusty Wallace, the Miller Lite onboard camera, starts on the pole position.
Well, Ned, there will be several opportunities to pass here, but of course we'll keep our eye on 2 locations. Coming down through the chute, as they call it now, which is the straightaway prior to turn number 7. And the field now is approaching another area where they will be hard on the brakes trying to outbrake each other. We'll go 112 laps. The purse is almost $3 million, and the pit window is between 35 and 39 laps. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Yesterday at happy hour, Mark Martin had a big concern about possible fuel pressure fluctuations. The red fuel pressure light kept coming on the car. It was sputtering coming off the corner. All the Roush cars in turn had the same problem at happy hour. Martin's team said they took the fuel cell out this morning, changed the fuel pump, and looked at the carburetor. Have they fixed it? They think they may not have been able to get it fixed. We'll find out in just a moment as the green flag is about to wave.
Pace car turns into the area called Gilligan's Island, where some will be pitting as Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty come down toward the start-finish line, get the green flag, and we're underway with the Save Mart Kragen 350.
And up at turn 2, this is a trouble spot, always has been. Jeff Gordon trying to get on the inside of Bobby Labonte, take a spot away.
Here they come downhill toward the chute and turn number 7.
I heard Michael Walker say the other day, the reason they call that the chute, he said when you come over there and say, shoot, I got too high there.
So far, so good as they now move up through the S's. Rusty Wallace with a 4 or 5 car length advantage on Kyle Petty as the rest of the field comes through the S's in pretty good shape. Well, looks like Johnny Andretti got the wheels off the pavement just a little bit, but no harm.
But notice they're all single file as they come down through here. When they went into the chute, some of them were still side by side, but now they're all single file.
Oh, Ricky Rudd goes down, tries to block the pass of Robbie Gordon. Gordon goes by on the outside and looks like he's going to make that pass.
Oh, he sure did.
Well, that's the place where we're talking about a moment ago, Bob. Was another place to pass is outbraking somebody going into turn 11. Now they're all the way up the hill.
Wallace gets credit for leading the first lap. It's his 8th Sears Point race that he has led, the 10th race that he has led this year. There's Robbie Gordon, who now is being pursued by Ricky Rudd.
For the 5th position, I guess. Sterling came down the hill, blocked that move of Jeff Gordon, put Jeff up on the curb.
And that almost opened the door for Bobby Labonte, but he could not take advantage of the opportunity. And so Jeff Gordon remains in 5th spot. Down through turn number 10, headed down the straightaway to turn 11 once again. That's Stewart, of course, in 3rd, Marlin, Gordon, Bobby Labonte, and Bill Elliott looking to the outside of Mark Martin.
Wow.
Can't make that happen. Here comes the 32 car of Scott Pruitt on the inside of Elliott. Couldn't make that happen.
I thought it was going to cost Bill a spot there, but he was lucky to get back in front of Scott Pruitt. There's not going to be a lot of passing for the first 5 or 6 laps, maybe even 10 laps, till these tires get good and hot and good and slick, as some of these cars will start slipping and sliding, start getting that forward bite off the corner. Then you might be able to make a pass.
And here comes the rest of the field. Roger Presley, Chad Little back there at the tail end, along with Dave Blaney.
Blaney started 43rd, so he's picked up a couple of positions there.
front. They continue to run in the same order. Here comes Rusty, who is driving car number 24 this weekend. The 24th chassis built at Penske Racing South. It's a brand new race car that Rusty is in control of today. We're on board with Kyle Petty, looking back now to Tony Stewart.
This is the Conseco onboard camera. Oh, right up against those tires. All these cars, as a matter of fact, walking through the garage area, a lot of them on the right side where the number is, have crushed those tires in their practice and qualifying runs.
Kyle Petty sat on the pole for quite a while on Friday afternoon, but in a late run, Rusty Wallace knocked him off. And even Rusty admitted that he hated to do it. Would love to see Kyle be on the pole position and have a bit of a lift after several tragedies that have beset that family in the past month or so. You're watching the action from the Pennzoil Copter Cam, which is circling around in crystal clear blue skies over Sears Point Raceway and the Sonoma Valley.
I tell you what, Kyle Petty, oh, you ever see Jeff Gordon back there trying to get on the inside of Sterling, trying to outbrake?
Oh, he may do it this time.
Can he get the grip on the corner? Can he get that forward bite?
Nope.
Didn't work.
So he's tried up in turn 7, and he tried in turn 11, and neither time has been successful for Jeff Gordon. So he stays back there in the 5th spot, pursuing Sterling Marlin. And up ahead of Sterling, Tony Stewart, Kyle Petty, and the leader of the race with 4 of the 112 laps completed, Rusty Wallace. We'll be back. Point of the battle between Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon continues, but still Gordon has been unable to pass Sterling, and he pointed out in his interview in NASCAR today that that was the thing that he was worried most about. Starting back in 5th position, it's very difficult to pass, and he's not been able to do so far. Meanwhile, up a little bit ahead of them is the battle for 2nd position as Tony Stewart and Kyle Petty are racing together.
Stewart has been all over Kyle for the last couple of laps, but has not been able to get up beside of him.
Going in this corner 2 laps ago, Kyle slid one of the tires and smoked that tire pretty good. You don't want to do that too much. Here we'll see Kyle coming in the corner, and watch that right front lock up. And folks, it locks up. That means it's stopped. It's sliding across the racetrack. That will develop a vibration. That flat spot will develop a vibration, and if you go long enough, that tire will blow out, go flat. So you got to really be careful of that.
And Stewart will now take a shot at Kyle Petty on the inside in turn 11. Who will win the battle off the corner? Stewart gets a good run as they come to the finish line. Stewart has it. So put Tony Stewart now up into 2nd position. This is also a brand new car for Tony Stewart. Already 2 wins this month, hoping for his 3rd. Chasing his 1st road course victory, however.
You know, when you talk about Tony Stewart, you think of him with an open wheel car, with a midget or sprint car running dirt tracks. You say, well, how in the world did he how did he learn to drive road courses as well? You come to find out he did a lot of go-kart racing on road courses back in his teen years.
Yep. And when he came here, of course, a year ago was his 1st road course visit in the NASCAR Winston Cup race, and he started on the outside of the front row and then went to Watkins Glen a couple of months later and started 4th there. There is Dale Earnhardt, who is back in the 24th position, about 15 and a half seconds behind the leader.
Started 29, so he has picked up 5 spots. Gary Nadeau back in 25th, so he's lost 5 spots since the beginning of this race.
This is a pretty tight group of cars here. There's Schrader trying to go on the inside of the 33. Can he make it? Oops.
Oh, a little bump.
DJ got into it.
And here comes Brett Bodine.
Like I said, that's a pretty tight group there.
And Brett will move alongside Wally Dallenbach now.
Oh, look at Brett trying to get on the inside. Yo! I think Dallenbach will probably pull him off, but Brett Bodine looking like a road racer here this afternoon.
Ralph's Supermarket Ford. This is Jeff Burton, yep.
He's behind all of that. He's had a lot of race cars to pass, but he's moving right along. He is up to 26th position now from his 30th position, so he's picked up 4 positions.
Mike Hillman begins his second week as the crew chief on this number 11 car, driven by Brett Bodine. And the car he has driven dates all the way back to when he bought the team from Junior Johnson in early 1996. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace has put almost 2 seconds between himself and his closest pursuer, who at the moment is Tony Stewart.
I'm sorry, see Kyle back in 5th spot, so Sterling and Jeff Gordon able to get by. Kyle's back to 5th now.
Poor Gordon has really been working on Sterling Marlin. Sterling's doing a great job of holding his line, running where he wants to, and that apparently is where Gordon wants to run. Uh-oh, got a spin out here.
Kevin LePage is facing the wrong direction in the FamilyClick.com car.
See some damage to the right front of that car. Hope it does not rub the fender. I think Kevin wants a caution flag.
Well, you wonder if the engine is stalled or what the problem is. Evidently, the engine has stalled and he's not able to go.
I thought I saw the car smoke when he started, but I guess not. See him come down the corner. And there's Jeremy Mayfield. Kevin LePage comes off just, wow. What's going on with him, John Kernan?
Benny, he's tried to refire the car, but no luck, and the transmission is hung up between gears. So LePage is a dead duck sitting in the water waiting. He's going to need assistance from one of the wrecker trucks, one of the tow trucks, to come out there and bring him back in, give him a little push maybe.
So it does bring out our first full course caution, and it comes on lap number 11 at the completion of lap number 10. Kevin LePage facing the wrong direction in turn number 11. Back in a moment. Under caution, we're wondering whether we're going to have any pit stops. Kevin LePage, who had hoped to celebrate his 38th birthday tomorrow a little more happily, is being, as you can see, dragged off the race course in his car. Will they pit?
Rusty Wallace is sure acting like he's going to pit.
Yes, he is. Sterling Marlin didn't, and Jeff Gordon didn't.
Jeff Gordon stayed on the racetrack.
Kyle Petty and Bobby Labonte and Stewart follow Rusty Wallace down into his pit stall.
There had been some concern whether some cars, and Rusty Wallace was one of them, might not be able to make it on fuel with just 2 stops. And so this will give him an opportunity now to make it on 2 stops from here on.
And maybe that's what these guys have stayed on, Jerry Punch.
And that is indeed part of it, Ned and Benny, the fact that they were going to have trouble maybe getting all the way to lap 37 on fuel. They also want to look at these tires. A little bit of concern about these tires exactly going 38 laps. Rusty pitting here on lap number 11. A year ago, he had an early caution, and everyone put it on lap 15. 4 tires for Rusty either way. Let's check in with John.
Dale Earnhardt stalls momentarily, leaving his pits after a 4-tire change, but he does get out ahead of Jeff Burton. Both drivers took in 4 tires. Earnhardt's team an air pressure adjustment to give him a little more forward bite. To Bill Weber. Robbie Gordon's been on pit road. He got 4 tires, air pressure adjustment. He left. Ricky Rudd was going to follow the leaders. When they split coming down pit road, Rudd stayed out.
Looks like that Kyle Petty was able to get back the positions that he lost on the racetrack with a good pit stop, and so he follows Rusty out of the pits. But of course, they are back of all of those who did not pit here on this caution. Well, John Andretti carries the STP colors for Richard Petty for the final time today. It ends a relationship which began 29 years ago with a win.
STP has been great. They've been great for my family. Of course, my uncle won Indy with STP, and we've done a lot of things with STP. You know, to be part of the 43, I guess, with this change, I mean, as it came Petty, he said, well, the STP 43 is more Richard Petty. He said, now it becomes, you know, more like John Andretti being the Cheerios 43. And I disagree with that completely. I mean, the 43 is always Richard Petty and always should be Richard Petty, and I'm just real proud to be a part of the organization.
I mentioned that STP will remain as an associate sponsor on that car, but it will be yellow and sponsored by General Mills Cheerios coming up in the July 4th Daytona or the Pepsi 400.
Take a little getting used to. See, that we've seen it for so many years with those STP logos and colors on it.
I remember when they brought the STP car to Riverside in 1971. I think that really caught everyone in the stock car racing fraternity by surprise. No one knew that STP was going to sponsor Richard Petty that year. They showed up, uncovered that car, and everyone just stood around with their mouth, wow. Because STP was associated with the open wheel car.
Yep. Well, our congratulations to Rusty Wallace, who has won his 6th Bud Pole Award of the year 2000. He is doing well in terms of qualifying. Dale Jarrett has a couple of pole positions. There you see the drivers who have qualified for the Bud Shootout at Daytona next February.
Pretty good field of cars so far for the Bud Shootout of 2001.
Already, yeah, and we're only not quite halfway through the season. Well, Rusty, as you can see, is way back here in the middle of the field, positioned behind Stacy Compton as we get set for a restart.
There were 12 cars that did not make a pit stop, and they were running first through 12.
And the leader is Sterling Martin, followed by Jeff Gordon, then Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, Steve Park running in 6th spot, then Kenny Wallace.
Big boy Seb trying to take a spot away from Kenny Wallace. That would be the 7th position. Kenny hangs on, stays in. Well, I don't know. It starts, they stay in front of Boris. Doesn't get spot away.
Ooh, wonder how much damage he did to the underneath of that race car when he hit those pylons and or the cement.
Look at Brett Bodine back there trying to get on the inside of Kenny. That's going to be tight.
But he wisely backed off. Said, I'll try it somewhere else.
And Boris, after he cleared Kenny Wallace, has separated himself a bit from Kenny.
He was passing a lot of cars before that caution came out. He was coming up through the field, and now he got his sights on the front.
Here's a Haviland serial showing you his position in 21st on lap number 2, and here on the 12th lap, he's up to 7.
Started back in 23rd. See, the 9 car getting passed by Bobby Labonte. This is our Circuit City onboard camera. Looks back at Robbie Gordon. Robbie trying to move forward. These cars did pit. Robbie Gordon, Bobby Labonte.
Of course, is the points leader coming into this event, as we're on board with Kyle Petty, who's back in 12th position.
Here Kyle downshift. Now he upshift. Going on board with Kyle, our Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage telemetry. What's the RPM? 67. And he shifts. I think he might have an overdrive transmission in that car. See now, as he goes down to turn 11, let's see what kind of speed. It's very, very slow down in this corner. 40, 37, 36, 34 miles per hour. As Bobby Labonte gets on the inside of Michael Waltrip, takes a spot away.
That'll move Labonte up to 13th. And John, what is the situation with Kevin LePage?
Bob, the tow truck has pushed the car back into the garage area. They're working on it right now. They believe it broke the rear end gear, and they also think that when they pushed the car and the wheel wouldn't turn, that it may have bent the drive shaft. So they're also getting the drive shaft. They're also pulling out a new transmission, too. Back upstairs.
Big problem on the racetrack. I don't think anybody got hurt badly, but...
there's some flame in the back of one of those cars. It looks like it might have blown an engine.
It's John Andretti. Boy, the fire is coming out of that car big time. He finally gets it stopped just shy of turn number 7.
I think he's knocked the oil cooler off the car, and that's what, when we saw the flame, I think it broke the oil cooler and oil line, and when that sprayed the oil on the exhaust system, that's what caused the fire. Caution flag is out.
John pulled it off the racetrack, getting out of it now.
Man, oh, man. There's still some fire back by the gas tank.
There is. The fireman right there on duty, though. They'll put it out.
Big, big hopes for John Andretti today. He was the fastest in happy hour. And really thought that he might be able to win this thing today, but it ends in a bit of flame and some smoke on the 43 STP car. Let's take a look at what happened when the whole thing started up around turn 2.
Well, there's Brett Bodine. The 11 car was off the course, and let's see, there's Bobby Labonte coming up on John Andretti. Everything looks okay right there.
Rusty Wallace might get into Brett Bodine. Yeah, I think he might have just touched him there a little bit. Around goes Brett. He nails the gas, so the car starts stopping because of the view being obstructed. And evidently, somebody stopped. Dale Jarrett has an onboard camera, the Ford Quality Care. We still haven't seen who John. Never seen the 43 car, but I don't know he ran the back off. That's scary looking. And we saw the water on Dale Jarrett's windshield or camera lens, which means that John Andretti, not only the oil cooler did he break, he broke the radiator.
Well, he's been able to pull the car off the racetrack down in the turn 7 area, but it does result in our second full course caution here at Sears Point. The cars come up through the S's, and now will we see more pit stops now?
Well, there were 12 cars that did not stop during the last caution, so you wonder if maybe they will come in now. They've only gone a few laps since then, but I would guess they will come in.
Two cars running together. There we see Boris said. He and Steve Park are trying to figure out how that's going to shake out as we see Brett Bodine and Scott Pruitt. They're also trying to figure out how this thing's going to shake out. They're running side by side, waiting for someone to tell them exactly where they think they might go in the lineup.
All right, now they're going to come down here, and we'll get an indication of who's going to pit and who isn't. John?
And one of the road racing specialists I talked about at the beginning of the show is headed to the garage area. Wally Dallenbach, who had high hopes for a great run today after being in the top 5 in happy hour yesterday, has a transmission problem, so they're going to have to take him into the garage and replace the transmission for Wally Dallenbach.
Oh, man. Bill Elliott's got to feel so lonely when he looks up in the mirror and sees no one following him. That means he's going to restart this race about 40th position.
And he was in 5th spot when he came in for the pit stop. Bill?
Bill Elliott had no choice but to pit. They believe they have a broken track bar, and he has some damage to the left rear quarter panel, obviously involved in contact on the racetrack. You can also see that the left side rear tire is scuffed, so they're going to jack up the car by the rear end housing and try and take a look underneath, but they believe the track bar is busted. He was going to pit next time by anyway. This caution will give them some extra time to work on the car.
Well, the clock keeps ticking, and Bill Elliott remains on pit road. But we are under caution here, and the reason for the caution was an incident up in the turn 2 and 3 area as a lot of flame was seen from the John Andretti car. He is pulled off of the racetrack and appears to be out of the race. California, and we remain under caution here. The car's just about to complete their 17th of 112 laps. Time for a NASCAR 2000 moment, and it's brought to you by the official home improvement warehouse of NASCAR, Home Depot. Here's Jerry.
It's a familiar saying in racing that speed has to do with not only how fast you go, but how fast you stop. Stopping's very important on short tracks and particularly important on road courses, and that means brakes. Let me show you what the selections are for some of the teams for brakes. This small brake here to my far right, very lightweight brake, is used on super speedways. Basically Daytona and Talladega, where you don't need much brake pedal. This intermediate size brake, this caliper here, is used on tracks like Charlotte, Darlington, and others. In fact, this is a brake that Rusty Wallace had on when he qualified on the pole. But at tracks like Martinsville and here on road courses on race day, he's this great big old boy right here. Take a look. This thing has 6 pistons inside, extra stopping power. But there is a trade-off. The bigger the brake, the more heat. And with the extra heat, you can boil the fluid. That's what happened to Rusty Wallace during happy hour on Saturday. So when it comes to brakes, size does matter.
And those huge calipers we see down there, the 6-piston, the pad is about 1 inch longer than the other brake pads.
We'll sneak in another quick break here before the green flag. So on the pace car are no longer flashing, and that means we're going to be going back to green here in just a moment. Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon are the front two. Here's John Kernan.
Brett Bodine has been on pit road twice after getting that spun out. The car has been really loose, so they are really tight, I should say, so they made a shock adjustment. Jerry Nadeau has been on pit road. They've actually moved the track bar position on that car because it was rolling over in the turns. Now did Jerry punch.
And no drive-through service here, unfortunately, for Bill Elliott. He sits up on the jack stands. As you heard a moment ago, a broken right rear truck arm. They are trying to weld the truck arm back in place. Bill Elliott sits on pit road as the field flashes by for the green flag.
And Sterling Marlin gets a pretty good jump on Jeff Gordon as they head up the hill once again. Sterling Marlin leading for the 3rd time in the year 2000.
Wow, look, Kyle Petty going by on the outside of Kenny Schrader. Whoa. We don't see that very much around this old road course. There's Scott Pruitt on the outside of Kenny Schrader.
We should mention also that Jimmy Spencer and Ward Burton made pit stops during that caution.
Oh, and Rusty Wallace getting a challenge from Robbie Gordon.
That's back for 8th and 9th.
We're here through the S's now. Not much passing goes on through this area.
All right, here we go. Jeff Gordon, can he get by Sterling Marlin going in 11 this time?
Well, before that caution came out, he had pulled away about 10-12 car lengths from Jeff Gordon. We have seen Gordon trying to pass him. Here's Rusty Wallace trying to make a pass on his brother, Kenny Wallace. Looks like he'll be able to pull that off. Kenny Wallace into number 55. But Sterling Marlin has been able to just pull away. Watch these other battles back through the pack. Well, this time he's not pulling away too far, is he?
Scott Pruitt there in the Tide number 32. Grew up in Sacramento, not too far from here, 60, 70 miles from here.
Here's Robbie Gordon making a bid to get to the inside of Kenny Wallace, and in the meantime, Kyle Petty's all over him.
If you're going to be offensive on this racetrack, you might ought to think about the defense when you're doing it. A Conseco onboard camera, Kyle Petty. Kyle going to the bridge, lose the signal for just a split second. Oh, somebody off in the dirt.
Pruitt smokes him going into the corner and gets to the inside of Tony Stewart.
Kenny Wallace, these cars are passing, was one of those cars that has not stopped yet. So those fresher tires appear to be working okay for him, but the older tires are working okay for Sterling Marlin, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd, who are running up front.
Robbie Gordon, Kyle Petty gets by Kenny Wallace. Tony Stewart trying to take a look.
And looks like they make the pass. Scott Pruitt comes in there too. Hits the curbing down on the inside, but still gets by. Scott Pruitt in the Tide number 32.
So that's going to move Kenny Wallace out of the top 10 right now. And here are the two at the top of the point standings in Winston Cup competition. Bobby Labonte followed by Dale Earnhardt, and right now they are 14th and 15th. And Jeff Gordon now looking to the outside of Marlin. That won't work.
He tried the inside how many times? That didn't work either. So he said, which way do I go? Can't go over the top.
Rusty led the first 10 laps, and Sterling Marlin has just completed the 11th lap up front.
And right now, Jeff Gordon is starting to put a lot of pressure on Sterling Marlin as we see Rusty Wallace has moved back up into the 5th position.
And the 94 car of Bill Elliott has been taken to the garage area. There are 4 cars off the track right now. Bill Elliott, Wally Dallenbach, John Andretti, of course, and Kevin LePage. Oh, John Kernan has an update.
Okay. Boris said just radioed in and told his crew he has a tire going down, so the crew has jumped up on the wall ready with 4 new tires. They think it might be a left front tire that is going down, for Boris said one of the drivers who decided to stay out hadn't pitted yet and was running in the top 5. Also another one of those road racing specialists we told you about at the beginning of the show.
He was in 5th position, but he should be able to get in, make a pit stop, and stay on the lead lap.
This car, by the way, is owned by Jimmy Spencer. Richard Broom serving as a crew chief.
And they need to go ahead and change all 4 tires when they're in. I'm sure they will.
Sandy's in. I'm looking at the left side tires, and there's a spin. Jerry Nadeau is spun down in the hairpin, but gets it going again. But Boris looked like that left front is okay. I can't tell with the right side tires yet if one of those were down, but we see where he's had some contact with the tires over those red tires down in the hairpin throughout the weekend, because there's that mark on the car at one point in time. But Boris changes all 4 tires. We'll check the 4 that came off the car and see if we can find out which one was indeed going flat.
Got to be careful leaving pit road when you're pitting down that bar and you're trying to get back on the way. And we see some smoke coming from Jeff Burns' car. A lot of smoke out of Burns' car.
Looks like he's still running okay, but yes, there is a lot of smoke coming from it.
NASCAR is not going to allow Burton to stay on the racetrack very long. Actually, the car's not going to let him stay out there very long smoking like that.
He's back in 16th position at the moment, but a lot of smoke, and he knows it, and is coming into the pits.
Looks like an oil line may be leaking a little bit.
Down to John Kernan once again.
And Jeff Burton hits his pit. What Frank Sodder and Jeff are talking about, no problems on the gauges, but they think that the sheet metal, they think they might have gotten hit by somebody else. They're checking to see if the sheet metal is rubbing on the tires. They're changing all 4 tires as he stopped. There's no more smoke coming from the car, so I doubt that it's oil or an oil leak or anything, as the NASCAR inspector looks behind the car to see if oil is coming out of the car. Now they're not quite sure what it was, because apparently the fenders were not rubbing on the tire, but now as he leaves pit road, I can still see a little bit of smoke coming out of that right rear.
Hey, John, look at that right front tire. Wasn't the inside of the right front tire covered in oil?
Benny, I am like 5 pits down from that, on my way up to that.
It looks like the inside of the right front tire was just covered in oil. As you see, Jeff Burton has not fixed the problem.
A lot of smoke still coming up from the 99 car as he is at the top of the hill. Jerry Nadeau had a spin down in turn number 11, the hairpin, just a moment ago.
Look at the top of your screen. There he comes. Down on the inside. Apparently just breaks loose with him. He got it righted and went on. He was right near the back of the pack because he had made a pit stop earlier.
Trying to pass Brian Semo. Brian Semo is driving the Hills Brothers Coffee of Junie Donlevers this weekend on the road course.
And Stacy Compton has a problem with a little bit of smoke from that car also off of corner number 11. There is Ward Burton passing by.
Ward is currently back in 36th position, but he is one of the drivers that made a pit stop during the last caution.
That car that Stacy Compton is driving competed here at Sears Point the last 2 seasons. It was the last car that Lake Speed drove before his retirement. It is Sterling Marlin leading the Save Mark Kragen 350 by a few car lengths over Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, and Rusty Wallace are the top 5. Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Bill Weber, and Dr. Jerry Punch, the ESPN NASCAR Winston Cup crew with you back at Sears Point Raceway, Sonoma, California. There's the leader, Sterling Marlin, pursued by Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin, with 26 laps of the 112 completed at this moment. Here's the spin involving Stacy Compton just before we went to break. Oh, it looks like he may have gotten some help there.
A little nudge from Jimmy Spencer, and around he goes. And the smoke that we saw here's when we saw Stacy Compton leaving before, it was just tire smoke as he was trying to accelerate. Another shot from the Citgo onboard camera of Elliott Sadler, and there's the contact with Spencer.
Jerry Nadeau drove that car that Stacy Compton is in today, qualified at 3rd here last year. And the 23 car of Boris Said goes off course.
Now that puts him a lap down after his unscheduled pit stop that he had. He is not up to speed.
Well, there appears to be something wrong. Let's go to John Kernan on the problems of Jeff Burton.
With Frank Stoddard, his crew chief. Frank, a lot of oil on the right front underneath the hood. What was the problem, and did you get it fixed?
Well, we'd get hit down here in the corner when I first saw the smoke. I thought it was just from a fender or something, but turned out to be an oil line that had either cracked or come loose or something, and it looks like we patched it up good enough to get it going. I want to take a time to say hi to Rodney back home, a guy that usually comes with us every weekend. He's not here this weekend. He's got a little bit of problem with his legs. Rodney, we're looking forward to getting you back here, and I hope we can get this 99 car back in the lead lap.
But that's Frank Stoddard, and whenever Jeff did come back around the last lap, you did not see nearly as much smoke burning off of that car, so they apparently got the leak fixed.
Well, Boris said when we go up to turn 2 off the racetrack, he's slowly working his way back towards pit road, but limping back towards pit road. Here's what happened to Boris Said as he comes through the corner.
Wow.
Something broke.
Yeah.
Something in the steering or whatever just simply broke. Let's listen.
You just don't fail to make the corner and drive into the tires intentionally.
No.
And Boris has taken the car back to the garage area as another spin has occurred. This one is Brett Bodine.
Brett Bodine has really had that Ralph Supermarket car running awfully good today, but now he does get the car righted again, puts it in gear, gets it refired, and away he goes, but many, many positions.
Well, here he comes into the turn behind Elliott Sadler. Boy, that thing, the back end just goes around. Looked like it was braking a little heavy coming in there, and the back end just got out from under him. And fortunately, no one hit him, and he didn't hit anything.
Brett's best day here at Sears Point was back in 1997. He started 5th and finished in 6th position. Sterling Marlin has just led his 19th lap, and in his 29 previous races on a road course, he had only led 16 laps.
And Rusty Wallace has worked his way back up to the 3rd position. He's running 3rd, just right behind Jeff Gordon, and he has made a pit stop and changed 4 tires, where Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon haven't pitted yet, although Rusty will have to probably pit twice more anyway.
Yeah, they all will have to pit at least 2 more times, but he can go a good while out there before, well, he pitted on lap 11, so he'd have that many more laps that he could go before he would have to pit. These other guys will have to come in the next, certainly within the next 10 laps, and maybe the next 8 or 9.
On board with Mark Martin, looking back to Ricky Rudd, running 5th.
Right behind him is Robbie Gordon. Ricky closing right on the back bumper of Mark Martin.
Rudd has 5 road course wins, 1 here at Sears Point, 2 at Watkins Glen, and 2 at Riverside. And Bill is with Boris Said.
Well, Boris able to smile. What happened?
We broke a left front control arm. I mean, I felt something going bad. I was hoping it was a tire going down, but we came in, they put tires on, and, you know, the steering wheel, it just wasn't turning. It was all wacky. So the Federated Auto Parts gave me another great chance. We were running near the front. We were just biding our time, driving around like we were going to the grocery store. So, you know, I really want to get a good run for everyone at Federated, because they've been supporting me, and, you know, I've just had tough luck, but, you know, I'm not unhappy. I mean, it wasn't my fault. I'm just going to come back at them hard at Watkins Glen and, you know, hopefully run at the front again. You know, I just want to thank Jimmy Spencer for the opportunity, and especially everyone at Federated that's been giving me all their support. So if anyone out there likes me, go to a Federated Car Care Center, get some, get your car checked out.
Thank you, Boris, for the commercial there. We'll be sending you a bill.
Well, he should have said his car was, he was riding around like going to a Save Mart supermarket instead of the grocery store.
Yeah.
Earnhardt And we see Robbie Gordon trying to get on the inside of Ricky Rudd, but Rudd in that Texaco car pulls him off the corner.
These guys have been having a good battle the last few laps as Gordon just tries to get around Ricky Rudd and go into 5th position, but the pursuit continues. Bill Elliott is coming back onto the racetrack here on the 32nd lap of the race. The top 5 now are Marlin, Gordon, Wallace, Martin, and Rudd. Point Raceway, you have already seen one race today on ESPN. That was the Busch Series event at Watkins Glen, which was won by Ron Fellows. This is number 2, and we've got 2 more for you later this afternoon. The Freight on part of Go Network, go.com. Only change, whoa, we've got some spinners down here. That's Matt Kenseth getting turned around.
Looks like Jerry Nadeau might have been involved in that spin. To the right rear of the Ford.
Kenseth went to the driving school out here to get a little bit of experience, the Russell Driving School, in a brand new car this weekend here at Sears Point.
Kenny Wallace and Steve Hart just made green flag pit stops.
Here we see maybe go down in the corner. And you know, Kenseth gave him some room. I think Nadeau got down there and lost control.
And Mark Martin is on pit road, giving up his top 5 position. Doctor, he's headed your way.
And for you Mark Martin fans, the news is not good. The sputtering and the missing is back. The same problem he had in half the hour yesterday. Came back on lap 3, and it's been consistent. That's why Mark hasn't been able to move up like he would like to early on. Right side tires going on. No chassis adjustment. Slight air pressure change. They have to get it full of fuel. They want to make it on 2 pit stops. 37 lap intervals. Mark Martin in about a lap early. It's full of fuel. Left rear lug nuts on, and Martin is down and away.
20.6-second pit stop for Mark Martin as he rolls back into competition. And Elliott Sadler fails to make turn number 1, continues down the drag strip here.
Bob, I think he got tagged by someone or something. I think he hit the wall, and then he's heading on down the drag strip. He's totally out of the racing area now. Let's take a look and see what happened to him.
He's probably going to try to... Oh, here we go. Here he comes off the corner.
Watch the right side of your screen.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it's Kenny Irwin.
Kenny Irwin did hit him there.
He'll rejoin the racetrack down in turn number 7 if the car will go that far. Meanwhile, we're on board with Rusty Wallace, who is all over the back bumper of the 24 of Jeff Gordon for the 2nd position. Get out to Bill Weber as Rudd comes in for a stop.
Ricky Rudd on pit road, as Bob Jenkins mentioned, already right side tires, no adjustments to this car. This looks like this could be a 2 pit stop race for Rudd. He's already got his tires and his fuel on his way back out. Good car, good chance for the road racer.
Sadler go by our position here a moment ago. The right front tire was flat, and that's one reason he very wisely went straight on the road course, on the drag strip, rather than go all the way around the racetrack. He knew his tire was flat. It would be better to just do it take half the time to do that. So, wise thinking on Elliott Sadler's part.
We expect a pit stop from Sterling Marlin soon, and here it is along with Jeff Gordon. Both of the top 2 runners come in for their first scheduled pit stop of the day. They passed up the opportunity earlier under caution. Here they are on pit road now on lap number 36.
That'll leave the lead to Rusty Wallace.
Down to Jerry.
Well, the front 2 some pitting here together on lap 37. They'll put 4 tires on Jeff Gordon's car and pull the fender out when the fender was pushed in a little bit on the left front. For the car number 40, Sterling Marlin, they're going to drop the air pressure slightly. This is their strategy. Both these teams making this race a 2 pit stop race, 37 laps and then 38 laps with the checkered flag. Good pit stop for Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon. It's a drag race to the end of pit road.
That will be won, I believe, by Marlin, but now they can race as they go up the hill.
They're falling in there with some of the cars that were running back in the pack.
Back at about 19th, I believe, Ned.
Jeff Gordon is really having some trouble getting through turn 2. Even with the old tires, that's where Sterling Marlin seemed to have the advantage of him. And I noticed there, even with the fresh tires, when he went through turn 2, he had a problem. A battle for the lead. Rusty Wallace is coming in.
Rusty does indeed come in, giving the lead to Tony Stewart now. And we see Kyle Petty also entering pit road.
Now, Rusty was one of those drivers who pitted on the 11th lap. He's only gone 25 laps since then. Let's go to the pits of Bill Weber.
This will be a Ford tire stop for Rusty Wallace. They haven't discussed any chassis adjustments. Remember, Rusty comes here in the new car, the pole sitter including on mission, after winning 4 poles in the last 6 races, but never going to victory lane in any of those attempts. Right side tires are on. They'll come around to the left side. Rusty wants fresh tires to get back out there and remain competitive in this middle portion of this race. Left side's going on. The fuel in. Rusty's back on his way.
Good pit stop, 17.1 seconds for the Miller Lite team, and Wallace goes back onto the racetrack, coming out just alongside of Robert Presley, who is running back in the 20th position. Well, up front is Tony Stewart, and this is the 6th race that he has led in the year 2000. He led last week at Pocono, but it is the very first time that he has ever led on a road course in his Winston Cup career. Jerry has an update on Kyle Petty, who was also in.
Basically, it's the same strategy they are employing as some of the other teams. They're going to basically pit when Rusty Wallace pits because they are getting almost identical fuel mileage as the 2 car. Rusty pitted on lap 11, came back in a moment ago. Kyle Petty pitted on lap 11, came back in a moment ago. Kyle had some handling problems earlier, though. He said the car was loose when he turned right and pushing when he turned left. They made a wedge adjustment in Kyle's car. He's back on the racetrack. Should be able to go some 35 laps now before the next stop. John Kernan?
Dale Earnhardt is pitted on lap 11, is in for his second pit stop, a 4-tire change. They make no adjustments, has a little bit of a problem getting it going, but finally he does. He'll need one more stop at least to make it to the end of this race. But the car had moved all the way up into the top 5 before he came in to make this pit stop.
What a great pit stop. 14.7 seconds we saw on our screen. There's our leader, Tony Stewart.
The last 2 out of 3 races in this series. He won at Dover, won at Michigan, was 6th last Monday at Pocono.
Tony Stewart's coming
in. That's going to give the lead to Robbie Gordon.
It looked like he had a notion.
Yeah, I thought he was too, Ned.
He decided to go on and lead this race for a little bit.
So Tony Stewart is in, and so is Bobby Labonte, who gives up his 3rd position to make another pit stop. Jerry, we'll give it to you again.
And they are going to make a track bar adjustment in Tony Stewart's car. Watch, they're going to go down 1 round on the Home Depot Pontiac. See the big rod going in the left rear? They're going to make 1 round adjustment on the track bar to try to get Tony's car handling. Right front tire rolls away. The 18 car, they're making an air pressure adjustment on the Interstate Batteries car. A points leader, Bobby Labonte. Left side tire's going on. Left side tire's already on Tony Stewart's car. And Stewart is down and away, and there goes Bobby Labonte.
And Stewart comes out right alongside Rusty Wallace.
And when you say right alongside, that's exactly what you're talking about, right alongside.
All the way up the hill.
Whoa. I don't think Rusty realized that Tony was out there.
So that's going to put Tony Stewart back in about 15th position now. The lead is held by Robbie Gordon. 39 laps are completed here at Sears Point Raceway. And it's the 2nd race in the year 2000 that Robbie Gordon has been out front. We'll be right back. 32 car driven by Scott Pruitt.
It looks like he's beginning to slip and slide a little bit, Bob. Those tires are getting a little old there now. But is he coming in? Nope. Not again. He just takes a wide entrance there, which is good. But every time he does that, it looks like he's coming in the pit. Look at him slide coming off of that corner. He is not getting good traction off of that corner, Benny.
No, he's really losing grip. And I guess that's why Rusty Wallace pitted so soon. We talked during the break. We talked to the pit reporters, and they felt like they wanted to be out there with the same tires that the competitors had. Jeff Gordon and the 40 car Sterling Marlin. So Rusty Walsh pitted a lot sooner than I thought he would. Here comes the 31 car, Mike Skinner, making his pit stop.
He was in the top 10, but now is in for the stop, Bill.
And this is routine service for Skinner. It will be 4 tires and fuel. Big donut on the left side, right on the 31. But so far, the car's been good. Plenty of fuel already in. They tighten the lugs. Good stop for the 31. Skinner's back out.
Wow, that was a good head stop. 14.9. John Andretti's back on the racetrack for you STP Petty fan, but he's many laps down. In fact, he's showing 25 laps down.
There's only one car officially listed as out of the race, and that would be Boris Said. Now, boy, we saw this a few laps ago up front, and they're still racing with each other, and Jeff Gordon gets the position from Sterling Marlin and moves into 5th position.
Finally, he said. Finally, I was able to pass that Coors Light Chevrolet.
I would suspect that they made maybe some slight adjustments on that 24 during that pit stop. Maybe made the difference, and I would doubt if Sterling Marlin's team made any adjustments. You know, it didn't look like they needed to. That car had been so good.
Kenny Irwin and Mark Martin racing together here. And the 3rd place car of Bobby Hamilton has relinquished that spot for a pit stop. Bill?
Had a good run here a few years ago. His Kodak Chevrolet does show right side damage, just typical road course wear and tear. Waiting on the left rear, solid stop for Bobby. He's on his way.
I saw Jeremy Mayfield pass the leader just a moment ago. He has stopped and has fresher tires than Robbie Gordon. He was a lap down now. If the cost were to come out, he could go all the way around the racetrack and make up almost 2 miles.
Yep.
Robbie Gordon has got to pit sooner or later because the car is just really slipping and sliding.
Robbie did a lot of testing in preparation for this race, and here he comes. He was 3 times at the road course facility in Kershaw, South Carolina, hoping to get this car right for the pit stop. And he hits the brakes to make the speed limit as he comes down to pit road. Bill Weber, he's going to be in your vicinity very, very shortly.
Robbie Gordon hunting down his signboard on a vacant pit road. This is a very critical pit stop for this team. You can gain or lose your positions on pit road. This is a pressure situation for these guys, not running at the front very often. They do make a track bar adjustment. Other than that, it's 4 tires and fuel waiting on the jack on the left side. This is taking a long time. This is a longer stop. Gordon still leading. He's got his fuel in his tires. They would have liked a quicker stop than that.
Jackman tripped going around the right, then the front of the car, Bill, almost fell down. Lucky he didn't fall down. It cost him a couple more seconds.
He's coming out in front of Kenny Wallace there. Kenny Wallace is running in the 15th position.
Is right there, too, in the 16th spot.
Now, fresh tires mean anything. Robbie Archer got away from these guys.
Yeah.
Jimmy Spencer comes in, Bill Weber.
And Bob, that left front damage on the 26 car inhibited them getting the tire locked on. They had to pull the tire back off, stick it back on, and tighten the lugs. That cost them precious seconds on pit road.
Back to the pit stop of Robbie Gordon. Here's what Benny referred to.
Watch the Jackman. He starts around, and the jack gets out of his hand. He tripped, goes to one knee. He never lets go of that jack, though. No. He bounces up. The guys are waiting for him. He finally gets over there. You can see what an asset that light jack is, though. Now we see Jimmy Spencer's left front fender rubbing drastically on that left front tire.
Yeah, I think he went off the course. John Kernan?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in for his pit stop. It'll be 4 tires, and as you can see, a lot of damage on that left front fender. Couldn't tell out on the track if it was rubbing at all, but yeah, they will pull that left front fender out, get all 4 tires changed, pull the fender out. No adjustments. Jr. is away.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. keeps it under the speed limit.
And we saw that damage by Jimmy Spencer. The other damage there is he gets in contact with the 25 car.
And then
Jerry Nadeau
to turn 2 and drives her off course.
Yeah, gets out into the tires. So
Scott Pruitt picks up the lead, but now he is in for a pit stop on the 46th lap of the race. Jerry Punch.
Second of what will probably be 3 pit stops for the two-time Trans Am and two-time IMSA GTO champion, the road racing specialist Scott Pruitt, trying to get his first Winston Cup win here in just his 13th career start. They will change 4 tires, no adjustments, no air pressure, no wedge, no track bar, but they have got to get it full of fuel. Good pit stop so far. Left front tire off, left rear tire off. Lug nuts are on, flawless pit stop. Pruitt's tied forward in the way.
And with all the pit stops and the 5 drivers that have been in the lead in the last few minutes, guess who is up front now? Jeff Gordon.
There he is.
He's got a 2.8-second advantage now on Sterling Marlin, and so the driver going for 6 consecutive road course wins is at the front of the St. Mart Kragen 350, 46 of the 112 laps completed. Home for Sears Point Raceway, home of a lot of fine grapes, too, that make that great wine, and we have enjoyed coming out here for the last several years. As we enter the second half of the season, we say goodbye to some of these racetracks, but we certainly want to take our hat off to Steve Page, Bruton Smith, Michael Uhrig, all of the people here at Sears Point Raceway for their great hospitality. We have absolutely had a great time every time we have visited your facility, and will miss coming here. The Pennzoil Copter Cam is following the leader of the race, Jeff Gordon. The interval back to second place, Sterling Marlin, is 3 1/4 seconds, but Jeff is behind some traffic that he has been unable to get around in the last few laps.
Yeah, it was 3.24 seconds the last time he crossed the start-finish line, but right now I would think that Sterling Marlin has gained because Jeff Gordon has pulled up behind the 77 car of Robert Prestry, and he's really having trouble getting by.
On board with the third-place car of Rusty Wallace.
He's 6 seconds behind.
And there's the fourth-place car of Tony Stewart, who led 2 laps of this race before coming in for a pit stop. Mark Martin is right behind him. And a spin coming off turn number 11. That's the number 90 car that's being driven this week by Brian Simo.
Go. No caution. And there we see Brian go in the corner, right, and look at the 22 and the 77 both block up the right front. And there, Jeff Gordon gets in the rear of the 77, and Simo spins at the same time. That was synchronized spinning, Bob.
Yes, it was.
You've heard of synchronized swimming?
And now a good battle for second is shaping up between Marlin and Wallace.
Either Sterling's car is not performing quite as well as it did before, or Gordon and, of course, Rusty Wallace has been good all day long. He led the first portion of the race and then got off sequence on pit stops.
Jimmy Dean onboard telemetry. Watch as Rusty Wallace goes down 134 miles per hour. Now he will go into turn 10 and accelerate to turn 11. Hard on the brakes here. Trying to get on the inside. Can't quite make it. Let's see what kind of speed he goes down to. 31 miles per hour. He shifts at 8,500. Back to 7,000. Gets back again. Goes up the hill.
Yeah, quite an elevation change from down there at the start-finish line to up here at turn 2, and it's even a little bit higher than that in turn 4. Which is right here. Tony Stewart watches the battle ahead of him. Down through the chute. Here's Wallace to the inside. No.
Did not quite get far enough along. Oh, somebody.
Whoa, Rusty is off course. And loses 1 position. Wow, a moment there for Rusty, huh?
Yeah. So Stewart got by. Martin moved in closer to him.
And Bill Weber during the break told us what what Robin Pemberton and Rusty was thinking about by pitting night for only 25 laps. They did not want to be on the racetrack with Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin in a competition with better tires than them for 10 or 15 laps. They felt like they would lose so much track position. If the caution flag were not to come out, they could never catch back up. And as soon as they got to the point that Rusty, they could make it to the end of the race with one more pit stop, that's when they made their pit stop to get on the same tires as Gordon and Sterling Marlin.
Now, here's what happened to Rusty. We're on board with him. Comes up on Sterling Marlin and just misses the corner.
Wow.
And there goes Tony Stewart by. The good news is he only hit grass and didn't hit any curbs or walls.
So he should not have done any damage underneath to the chassis of the car.
So there is Rusty, who's in 4th. Mark Martin in 5th. And here comes the 28 car of Ricky Rudd, who is in the 6th position. Let's talk to John Andretti.
Well, everyone had high hopes for the 43 car today, including your 42 competitors, John. First of all, what happened?
Well, I guess we got to the top of the hill, and somebody turned somebody around and slowed up, and Chris, my spotter, did a great job, and I slowed down. The guy behind me, I guess, didn't know about the crash or something, and got up in the back of me and drove me into the guy in front. We broke an oil line, caught fire, did all that. And it's just real disappointing. It's disappointing for the whole team because I think we had a good car. I don't know if we had one capable of winning, but we were still going to give him a run for it, I thought. And I want to say hello to my brother Adam. He won yesterday, his first race, and he's racing again today. I hope he wins again today. Maybe he'll bring home an Andretti win anyway.
You had high hopes for STP and for the King this afternoon, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, STP being the last race, I mean, I looked at the burned car, and all I could think of was Atlanta. You know, the King's last race, and the thing caught fire, and it was all burned up, and I thought, well, at least we go out in style, you know, but not much of a style you want to go out in. It'll be all right, and STP's still going to be on the race car, and we can still win races for him.
We'll see you in new colors at Daytona.
Definitely.
It's the end of an era here at Sonoma.
And the end of the race for John Andretti, unfortunately. Well, the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt, there is Bobby Labonte. He's running in 7th. And in 8th spot, a little bit behind Bobby, is Dale Earnhardt.
He's about 5 seconds behind Bobby Labonte. Take a look at our Haviland serial. He started 29th by lap 10, was up to 23rd. The big jump was on lap 40 on the pit stop. He moves into the 8th position, gained 10 spots from 40 until 52.
A lot of people think that this is Dale Earnhardt's year to win his 8th NASCAR Racing Cup Championship. He is 57 points behind Bobby Labonte as the 16th race of the year is occurring. We'll be right back. Cup competition is a little bit like short track racing. A lot of bumping and banging going on out there, and the spins that we have seen today and the fires have not been common to one area of the racetrack. Here is Boris Said nosing into the tire barriers up in turn number 2. In turn 11, some contacts, and Stacy Compton spinning around in the Cougar Ford. Then up the hill again, it was Jimmy Spencer finding the tires and scattering them just a little bit. And that's just some of the action that we have seen here at Sears Point Raceway. And moments ago, the 31 car of Mike Skinner had an off-course excursion. Let's take a look at it.
Buck is going into turn 7 on the inside of the 90 car and hit the curbing on the inside, and around he goes.
All he did was hurt his pride, lose a couple of positions on the racetrack.
Back in 18th position.
And also moments ago, now Jeff Gordon has been trying to get around Stacy Compton for a long time, and there is a near miss as he got around him.
See, Jeff Burton, the Excite car, was coming out of the pit road, and Stacy Compton moved over to avoid Jeff Burton. He did. He moved right in the side of Jeff Gordon. Now we see Jeff Burton with fresh tires right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon.
Now, the number 1 car of Steve Park is the last car on the lead lap. He's running in 27th position. Let's get an update from Bill Weber.
Okay, Bob, now Benny and Ned, how would you like to try and do this? 2 laps ago, Steve Park pitted for 4 tires and fuel. And one more thing, to find out that his power steering line has leaked. He has no power steering for the rest of this race.
Oh, man.
Well, this is probably the worst track that you could have that to happen. The the right and left-hand turns. You use that steering wheel a lot here, and so he's going to use those arm muscles.
I hope he's been going to the gym with some regularity. Otherwise, he's going to be in trouble. Burton down on the inside of the leader.
He's trying to get one of his 2 laps back, and he does.
There comes Tony Stewart, the second place car. Sterling Marlin is in third. Tony's about 5.5 seconds, 5 to 5.5 seconds behind Jeff Gordon.
And we have reached the halfway point. In fact, we're a lap past the halfway point. 57 circuits are in the books. There's Sterling Marlin. There is Mark Martin, who is running in 4th position, and behind him is Rusty Wallace, the pole sitter for today's race, who is 5th.
And since we've seen these cars, Mark Martin has gotten by Rusty and is pulling away from him a little bit. Rusty Wallace right now, the slowest of the top 6 cars in speed.
And Ricky Rudd and Bobby Labonte, the points leader. Bobby sitting there in 7th position. Rudd in 6th. And the next car is this orange bright car. As Dale Earnhardt Jr. has spun out, kept going. But Robbie Gordon is 18 seconds behind the leader.
And that's what Rusty Wallace was trying to avoid. I was trying to say a little bit ago, Robbie Gordon stayed up for a long, long time on those old tires, and he lost those 18 seconds as Jeff Gordon and those other cars had those fresh tires.
Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s problem down in turn number 11.
Well, unfortunately, we can't blame that on anybody but Dale Jr.
No one was around him. Of course, that lessened the chance of him getting hit as a result of no one being around him.
He is back in 22nd position, and here is the leader of the race, Jeff Gordon. Stewart, Marlin, Martin, Wallace are the top 5 here with now 58 laps completed. More of our live coverage after these messages. Up, we are under our 3rd caution of the day because of a stalled car of Brian Semo down on the front stretch. So this brings out our 3rd caution of the afternoon. We understand it's a broken drivetrain on the Semo car. Semo, of course, a veteran of the Trans Am series. Well, join ESPN2 for the greatest cycling helicopter cam. We'll show you the field crossing under the bridge and heading to the area where we will be getting an indication of who's coming in for a pit stop.
I expect most of them will, Bob. Even though they can't make it from here on, they want to get fresh tires on.
Now, Robbie Gordon, who is back in the 8th position, I'm told that he's thinking about staying out. We'll see if he does that or not. Here comes Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace. So far, every one of them in the lead lap is hitting pit road. And Robbie Gordon has decided, I think I'll go in and get some fresh tires on.
Yeah, I think that was smart because he saw what it did to him before, staying out there on those older tires.
By the way, Terry Labonte got his lap back. John?
Dale Earnhardt pulls into his pit, a 4-tire change, no adjustments to the car. Dale says it's been pretty good. In fact, Earnhardt has told Kevin Hamlin, who's coaching, I haven't really been using the brakes as much as I could, so we should watch the 3-car move up even more. The Jerry Punch. Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin in, Mark Martin as well, Tony Stewart, no change whatsoever on Jeff Gordon's car, 4 tires, and they cannot make it the rest of the way on field. They'll have to make a final stop with about 10 or 12 laps to go. Gordon is down and away, and they will shoot back toward turn 1.
Gordon leads the procession off pit road, but there are some who chose not to pit. Here comes Kenny Wallace and Michael Waltrip and Kyle Petty, Bill Elliott, and others. Mike Bliss, Earnhardt Jr., Schrader, all coming out after their pit stop.
Now, Scott Pruitt in the Tide car was one of the last cars to pit on the green flag, and maybe he's one that decides he will stay out, then only stop one more time. Since everyone else has to stop one more time, so will he.
60 laps completed, and under caution here, Scott Pruitt does have the lead. Stay with us for more live coverage of the Save Mart Kragen. Still under caution here with Scott Pruitt at the front of the line. He did not make a pit stop during this caution period. Now let's look at the Coke pit summary and showed you who did what on the pit stops. Gordon lost a position, so did Stewart. Marlin lost 3. Martin stayed the same, and Rusty Wallace lost 3. And you would think, Betty, maybe they did some changes to that car during that stop.
It looked like Rusty Wallace was kind of falling back to the other car, so I would guess that Robin and the guys made some adjustments on that car during that pit stop. And these guys really didn't lose anything because Scott Pruitt stayed out.
Joe Nemechek is in 10th position here as we get lined up for a restart, but it's a few moments away, so another break. Stay with us. Back in a moment. And we will be going at least one more lap before the green comes out to resume this race. We're on our 3rd caution of the day, and that was brought out by the stall car driven by Brian Simo. Let's get a pit report first from John Kernan.
Jerry Nadeau has been on pit road several times during this caution because when he hit something with the rear of the car, it crimped up the filler hose so they could not get fuel into the car. But he just was able to come on pit road. They lifted up the deck lid, got underneath, uncrimped the hose, filled him full of fuel. So that problem has been fixed for Jerry Nadeau. Now to Bill Weber.
Rusty Wallace is currently running 8th, and one reason why his pit stop was 21.41 seconds, and I can tell you why. They couldn't get the left front wheel off of the car. They had the lug nuts off of it, but apparently the left front wheel hung up on the cap. Come on down here. It hung up in this area. This isn't the actual tire, but it hung up right on here. Bill Wilburn, who changes the left front and the right front tire, says he's only had that happen once before at Martinsville, and it was the right front tire. The reason it could happen here, the left front apparently takes the most abuse. They normally have great pit stops. This one, 21 and change. To Jerry Punch.
And a possible problem developing with Tony Stewart in the Home Depot Pontiac. I understand that Greg Zippodelli is the crew chief, but we understand, Greg, that Tony is not feeling well at all and has asked you to help find a relief driver for him.
Yeah, we're looking right now. We tried to get a hold of John Andretti. He's out of here. They're trying to track him down and get permission. I don't know. It's a shame. The Home Depot Pontiac's running really good. Tony's doing an awesome job. He just, I guess, overheating. His stomach's upset, and so we just give him a whole bunch of ice there. Hopefully we can stick this thing out here.
All right, they got to make one more pit stop. They're going to try to get him to make it till about 12 laps to go. They're trying to keep him calm by talking to him and getting his mind off of the heat, but overheated, an upset stomach. He's trying to hang on and finish it here at Sears Point.
Tony right now running in the 3rd position behind Jeff Gordon and the leader of the race, Scott Pruitt. We'll take another break and be right back in just a moment. Well, the field comes out of corner number 11, and they begin the acceleration now, and the green flag comes back out. We are racing once again at Sears Point Raceway. Scott Pruitt at the front of the field. Scott has won here at Trans Am, not in at Sears Point, not in a Winston Cup race, but in Trans Am. He won a race here back in '87, and Tony Stewart wanted to get 2nd position away from Jeff Gordon there.
Right now, the 32 car, Scott Pruitt, out there on older tires than most of these cars. So he should be a little slower at the front. And Jeff Burton, the 99 car, Exide car, desperately wanted to get in front of Pruitt so he can, if the caution should come out, could get a lap back. There'll be some serious braking going on when we get to turn 11.
At one time, Jeff Burton was 2 laps down. Now he's only 1 lap down. You're right, Dan. He would love to get by him in case the caution could come out here pretty quickly again and put him back on the lead lap.
All right, here we go. Burton can't do it. Gordon can't do it. You see Sterling Marlin trying to go up on the outside of Ricky Rudd. And Robbie Gordon gets by the 18 car of Bobby Labonte.
Jerry has a report on Scott Pruitt, the leader.
A number of the competitors are radioing to each other and saying they think the 32 car is on 7 cylinders. I checked in their pits and they said, no way. We either have a cracked header or a cracked exhaust pipe. It's sputtering and sounds like it's missing, but it's not. It's hitting on all 8.
Yeah, I think it's hitting on all 8 because otherwise he would not be able to stay in front of Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon nearly as easily as he is.
His tires are, excuse me, Bob, his tires are about 14 laps older than Jeff Gordon's.
Ooh, and Rusty got off the course there just a little bit. using every inch of the racetrack here. We understand that Boris said, who we told you was out of the race, well, he isn't. His car is, but he is now relief driving in the 77 car for Robert Presley. They have found John Andretti, so we may see him get in the Tony Stewart car.
Robbie Gordon was trying to get by Rusty Wallace going down in turn 11 that time. Riding on board with Bobby Labonte, the Circuit City on board as he's right on the back bumper of Robbie Gordon. Check behind there, Dale Earnhardt, Bobby Hamilton, Dale Jarrett. All those cars racing for position.
More on Tony Stewart from Jerry.
On the radio, Tony Stewart sounds like a gladiator that's been asked to fight one more battle before the day is done. He told the crew, you've never given up on me, and I am not going to give up on you. I'm going to hang in here. Now, the good news here in the Tony Stewart pit is they have found John Andretti. He is flying back in his STP uniform and is standing by. The crew now are trying to hunt down some ammonia, to put some ammonia in some ice water for a cold cloth to possibly give Tony Stewart on the final pit stop. It was that remedy that helped Jeff Gordon make it to the checkered flag a year ago when he was very, very ill, and Gordon won it.
There goes Gordon on the inside of Pruitt. Trying to get that lap back.
Jeff Burton, he wants to get back on the lead lap in case the caution does come out.
This is the mixture that they're creating for Tony Stewart.
Oh, some contact, but I'm sorry, as we see him concocting this drink.
That's all for Tony Stewart, who is not feeling well, but he has taken second position from Jeff Gordon.
There was some contact between Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon going up in turn 2, and that's when they had to get off the gasoline accelerator when Tony Stewart dove in. There he dives on the inside of Burton.
As you can see, Jeff has once again lost that lap.
He knows that a lot of race cars are running close together after this restart. Jeff Burton does. If he could just get in front, there's a possibility that a couple of them might make contact and cause a caution, and boy, that would make up 2 miles in a hurry.
All right, Tony Stewart trying to drive down, outbrake Burton. He does it.
Now that will certainly hurt Burton's chances of getting back on the lead lap.
And Stewart now sets his sights on the leader of the race, Scott Pruitt, as they head for the hill once again, and Stewart is right alongside him, and Pruitt has to hit the brakes.
And Tony goes around. Up the hill here. And Burton gets back in front. Here goes Gordon trying to take the lead.
And I doubt there's going to be a caution as Stewart is able to maybe get back on course. Yes. To get the lead results in several positions lost for Tony Stewart. And Scott Pruitt is also off.
Well, let's see, is he going to be able, it looks like he's rolling, just waiting for traffic to get by. He might be able to go again if he can get an opening in the traffic. Yeah, he's got traction, so he would be able to go, so no caution for him.
Those running first and second get off course, and Gordon's got the lead again.
This is pretty good damage to the right and rear of the tied Ford.
And Jeff Burton is way out in front of Jeff Gordon, so if the caution should come out, boy, this is going to be great for him.
All right, here's what happened, BP.
Series of replays. Ever see Scott Pruitt slide that front tire, goes up, gets in the left rear of Tony. Around goes Tony. Pruitt gets his car going again. Burton gets in front. Now here Jeff Gordon's alongside Pruitt. Watch this. Watch Pruitt slide that left front. Go over and make contact.
Now, what happened to the 32? Well, we shall see here.
Goes up the hill, slides that right front once again. And a little contact from Jeff Gordon.
Yep.
And around he goes.
That puts Pruitt, and Scott has driven into another tire barrier, this time deeper than before, and so the fourth caution of the afternoon will come out. Jerry?
Well, Scott Pruitt radio just prior to going into that barrier a moment ago, he thought he had a tire going down after possible contact a moment ago up there in turns 2 and 3, and apparently he did have a tire going down. He just now said on the radio, I think I cut a tire or blew a tire and had no control over the car. He's obviously wedged pretty seriously there into the tire barrier, and the caution flies once again.
And unfortunately, the grass underneath the car is on fire. I believe that's what I'm sure it's the grass that the exhaust underneath that car is just extremely hot. Fire extinguisher, please, quickly down to the 32 car.
And let's not let that get out of hand.
It's in turn 10.
Yeah, it is.
Jeff Burton got his lap back, so he's back on the lead lap. At one time, he was 2 laps down. Got back on the lead lap now.
Pace car comes out and picks up the field as the wrecker will be needed for Scott Pruitt's car into the tire barrier in turn number 10. 69 laps completed here at Sears Point Raceway. And here is what happened to him. He apparently got in pretty hard because he's moved one of the cement barriers.
I think he's got a flat tire. The car just would not turn, and in that barrier he went.
Wow. So a lot of damage to that car. It'll be a while before they can get it out of this location. Some didn't, but a lot did come in for pit stops. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, and all these guys here are coming out from a pit stop. Jerry, looks like the driver change is occurring.
Tony Stewart has climbed out of the Home Depot Pontiac. They put John Andretti in. There's a little bit difference in the size of these two drivers. They put a big foam pad around John Andretti's waist and back to try to support him a little bit, let him fit in the seat, trying to get him wired in, get all the seat belts on. They have not changed tires. They have not even added fuel. They're going to come back in next time by, next lap around, and make the normal pit stop, tire change, and fuel additions. Now the crew will go out because they do have time here on the road course under caution to change tires. They'll go out. The reason they couldn't go across because you're only allowed 6 guys over the wall. They need the people to help get the driver out. They'll make a chassis adjustment, put the track bar back where it was. Left side tires going on. The driver has been changed, and in just a moment, John Andretti will pull away in Tony Stewart's Pontiac. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
Rusty Wallace talked it over with his crew chief. They decided they could go the rest of the way on fuel, so if the leaders came, meaning basically the 24, they were going to pit. That's exactly what happened. They had a much better pit stop this time around. As for the 28 car, Ricky Rudd, his crew chief Michael McSwain told Ricky, stay out. I don't think we're going to be able to go the rest of the way on fuel. He said, what if half of the guys come? What if half of the guys don't? He said, follow the 24. Then they got back on the radio. They said, Ricky, don't come. We're not going to make it. When everybody else came in, Rudd came down pit road. They had a good stop, too. 4 tires, also ice water and a wash rag, a very cold one for Ricky Rudd. To John Kernan.
Dale Earnhardt's crew knew that they could make it the rest of the way on fuel, but the concern was the tires, because after about 30 laps, the lap times really fall off on the tires and they start slipping and sliding around the racetrack. Fuel not a concern, but Earnhardt was not planning on pitting unless the leaders pitted. When Jeff Gordon and everybody in front of him decided to duck on pit road, it was monkey see, monkey do. They came in, took on 4 tires, filled it up with fuel. No other adjustments for Dale Earnhardt.
So Dale Earnhardt is in 12th position. At the front of the field, the leader of the race is Kenny Wallace, as Tony Stewart is being transported to a medical facility to be checked over. Kenny Wallace is the leader of the race, and this is the first time that he has led a race this year. John Andretti, we heard from Jerry, had some padding around his waist. Well, there it is, so that he could better fit into the much larger seat occupied by Tony Stewart in the Home Depot Pontiac.
Tony Stewart is probably 30 to 40 pounds heavier than John Andretti.
Well, right now we are under caution once again, our 4th of the afternoon, with Kenny Wallace leading Mike Skinner. A view of the field under our 4th caution of the day. Kenny Wallace leading Mike Skinner. Ward Burton is up in 3rd position, followed by Sterling Marlin and Bobby Hamilton, who has had a good run here today.
Bobby Hamilton made the pit stop just a moment ago and put fuel only in his car. Did not change tires.
Well, Sunday night baseball presented by Guts, with more from Sears Point. California, here's how they're running at the end of 72 laps. We're under caution. Kenny Wallace is leading for the first time in the year 2000 in the NASCAR Winston Cup race.
Now, those top three did not stop. Kenny Wallace, Mike Skinner, and Ward Burton. Sterling Marlin took on left side tires only. Bobby Hamilton, as Benny reported, only took on fuel. Everybody else from there on down took on 4 tires.
Here is 16 through 30, and we've got 28 on the lead lap.
And John Andretti in the 20 car replacing Tony Stewart, obviously the last car. Steve Park, who had the power steering problems, that problem has been fixed. Now he's back in 26th spot. We saw Jeff Burton get his lap back. He's on the lead lap in 23rd spot.
And the remainder of the field now, with just 2 officially out of the race, Boris Said and Andretti. Both of those drivers are still in the race as relief drivers. Boris Said for Robert Presley and Andretti for Tony Stewart. John?
One thing I've noticed watching Kenny Wallace make his way around the track all afternoon is fuel overflowing, coming out the overflow every lap. And as a result of that, he's lost a lot of fuel out on the racetrack. So they're only picking up about 18 gallons. That means he can only go 25 to 27 laps. So he couldn't make it to the end. So that's the reason they decided to stay out until they got to that 25-lap window before they would make their pit stop to go to the end of the race.
Here we go. The grid is about to come out. And the Save Mark Kragen 350 back under race conditions.
Okay, we have a situation here with some tires, with cars with old tires on them. Some with 4. There's Jeff Gordon making a move already on the 4 car, which didn't take on any tires.
A quick work of him. Burton's looking good up there in 3rd spot, and contact between Marlin and Compton. Stacy gets off course momentarily, creates a real bottleneck behind him, but keeps his momentum.
And Mark Martin, and there's Jeff Gordon in the 40 car, almost made contact. Gordon drives on the inside of Sterling Marlin, takes that spot away. Here comes Mark Martin on the inside of the 4.
And remember, Sterling Marlin only took 2 tires. He took left side tires.
And Rusty
Wallace
around he goes.
Wow.
Rusty was concerned about being able to go the rest of the way on fuel. And now, just look at the positions this spin has cost him.
Take a look at it once again. It was up in turn number 7.
He comes down the hill. He gets on the inside of Mark Martin, goes up and gets in the inside of 4. I think he tried to avoid spinning Bobby Hamilton out. When he did, basically spun himself out.
Like he hit the curbing with his inside tire, the right side tires, and that shifted the weight on it, and around he went.
And threw him over into the side of the 4 car. There he is. Rusty Wallace now back to the 28th position, the last car on the lead lap. It's brutal.
Well, Ned, you pointed out in the very beginning of the show that things can happen in... Ooh, Mike Skinner almost lost it. You said that things can happen even as late as the last lap, and you're running in the lead lap up front amongst the leaders, and all of a sudden you're back as the last car on the lead lap.
There's a lot of positions because there are still 28 cars on the lead lap, and man, you have to be so careful.
Boy, we remember what happened to Ward Burton last year. It occurred right here in front of our broadcast position when he and Rudd and Wallace all got together, ruining their days. Here's the battle for second now between Skinner and Ward Burton.
Now, we know that they will have to make another pit stop. There are many that made this last pit stop during the caution that say they can go the rest of the way as far as fuel is concerned. But Ward Burton running in 3rd, trying to take second away from Mike Skinner. He will have to make another pit stop.
Ward Burton is driving a backup car. He's in qualifying here on Friday afternoon, crashed up in the S's and turned the car over, had to go to backup. Had a really good race car. Here's that qualifying lap Friday afternoon. Gets that left rear in the dirt. The Caterpillar car goes around, backs in the fence, and watch this, climbs that fence and does a slow roll over, lands on its wheels, and Ward got out, threw his helmet, and said, I made a mistake.
Well, he started in 37th position. He got the first provisional spot, now running in 3rd place.
By the way, that qualifying crash was right at the same position where he had the encounter with Rudd and Wallace last year during the race. Bill is with Scott Pruitt, who's out of the event.
Scott, high hopes, a disappointing finish. What happened?
Well, Tony and I were going side by side up into one. We just got together a little bit. Got through there, and then took a big shot from behind, turned me around. I'm not sure really who hit me. Got going again from that, came down in the back, went to that little dog leg behind the Winston Tower. Car wouldn't turn. I mean, wouldn't stop, wouldn't turn. I think something broke in the front from that shot. Went in the fence, took a pretty good shot in the throat. So, disappointing for Tide, the whole team. You know, we were running real strong and thought we had a real good chance to finish top 5.
See you at Daytona.
Thank you.
Well, evidently Skinner could not make it the rest of the way on fuel, so he decides to bring that Lowe's Home Improvement Chevrolet in, get fuel and 4 tires.
He was beginning to slip around a little bit out there, Skinner was. Here's a good battle going on back there between the 3 points leaders. Dale Earnhardt in 10th, Dale Jarrett in 11th, and Bobby Labonte in the 12th position.
Kyle Petty back there in 14th.
Now going up the hill just a moment ago on this same lap that they're on right now, let's watch what happened going up that turn. Coming up on Stacy Compton. There's Joe Nemechek in car number 33, and there's some contact made somewhere because I saw a lot of smoke. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Earnhardt really got pinched in there for a moment, but fortunately those behind him backed off and gave him a little bit of running room, so keeps going.
Joe Nemechek is having a good race. He's in the 9th position, although he is under fire from Dale Earnhardt. And Dale Jarrett, the defending Winston Cup champion, is very close to a top 10 position here. Currently running in the 11th spot. He started 18th, dropped back to 25th on lap number 15, but has moved up to the 11th spot, and Kyle Petty is trying to get around the 9 car of Stacy Compton.
Mike Bliss back there in the 27 car. The Riley car. Good run today for Bliss.
Yep. And both of those cars passed Bobby Labonte in the last lap. Bobby was, as we saw there a moment ago, and it might have been during that little skirmish up there that Bobby lost those positions.
Oh, Michael Waltrip gets on the curve up there, leaps in the air, and keeps the nation's rent the Chevrolet going.
Well, Michael Waltrip is on the lead lap in 15th spot. Right behind him is Johnny Benson. Jerry Nadeau, Dale Earnhardt Jr. also on the lead lap. They're all chasing the 55, driven by Kenny Wallace, who's in the lead here with 77 laps completed. Our Kragen 350 NASCAR Winston Cup race at Sears Point, but Jeff Gordon has taken 2nd position away from Ward Burton and now begins to close in on Kenny Wallace, whose best road course result was 9th. Watkins Glen back in 1993. His best finish here at Sears Point was last year. He finished 14th. Talking about the leader, Kenny Wallace.
Bob, am I correct that he was the only driver who had run in all the races this year who had not led a lap coming into today's race?
That is correct, yes.
So now he's taking care of that.
Yep. The only driver who had started all races this year.
Robbie Gordon's gotten by Bobby Hamilton, moved into the 7th position. Man, I got a sneaky feeling some of these guys will not be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel.
You mean even some of those who stopped?
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of them be sweating down near the end if this thing goes green the rest of the way.
Jeff Gordon is closing in slowly but surely on Kenny Wallace.
Our on-track interval shows you that Kenny Wallace run pretty consistent laps. 71-1 to 74-1 to 74-3. Look at Jeff Gordon. All the laps, 3 laps, 73.9. And 1 lap where he passed the car, 74.2. Slowly, just a couple of tenths of a second per lap. Closing in on Kenny Wallace.
So those fresher tires is one thing that was allowing him to do that.
And he's now 2.8 seconds behind Wallace, so he's saved a little bit more off. Marlin running 4th, and Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd. As we see the cars come up the hill, we're going to focus on the 99 of Jeff Burton. He got his lap back recently. He's now up to 21st position.
And right behind him is Steve Park in the Pennzoil car and the 20 car driven by John Andretti. Kenny Irwin, the car in front, is in the lead lap. He's in the 20th position. And there we see the battle.
Jerry, how's Tony Stewart feeling?
Well, Bob, when he got out of the car, he wasn't doing very well at all. He was very lightheaded, and they were helping him out of the pit area as quickly as possible to the infield hospital. Now, he's in the infield hospital, or has been there for quite a while, getting IV fluids, getting some other hydration, and the report is that he is now awake and feeling much, much better after that intestinal flu and heat got to him, but doing much, much better. Would love to be in the race car, but the report for Tony Stewart is the intestinal flu may have gotten him down, but the fluids have helped tremendously.
And John Andretti just drove his car into the 22nd position as he passed Steve Park.
Battle for third place shaping up here between the 22 of Ward Burton, the Cat car, Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd.
By the way, while we're focused here on Mark Martin, I got to thank the people at Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. They have elected me as their media person of the year.
Congratulations.
Because of the mentions that we have done. You know, Valvoline donates a lot of money to Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Yeah, that's a fine program.
Well, that's terrific. Good for you. Mark Martin is in the 5th position, about 5 seconds behind the leader of the race. Now the interval between the first place Kenny Wallace and Jeff Gordon is about 1.5 seconds at Sears Point. Cisco, about 40 miles. It's not too far inland that we are today at Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California. This is one of the most beautiful areas of the United States. And here on the road course at Sonoma, we got a good battle shaping up as the Pennzoil Copter Cam will show you now how close Jeff Gordon is to the leader, Kenny Wallace.
He just gradually cut that lead down just a few tenths of a second each lap, and now it's just a matter of a few car lengths.
Well, Jerry, Jeff Gordon is catching up quickly to Kenny.
But Bob, he's doing it with a very, very calculating approach. He has been told when he left pit road a little bit ago not to swerve the car, to rock any gas out. He's been told to be very, very careful on the throttle. Why? Because he's been told that he's extremely close on fuel. Jeff Gordon, they tell him that he may be able to make it as he makes the move now to take the lead away from Kenny Wallace. They are door by door coming out of turn 11, and Gordon will have the advantage on the left-hander up to turn 1. Remember, Kenny Wallace is yet to pit. Will have to come in about 4 or 5 laps. But getting back to Jeff Gordon, he has been told that they are very close on fuel. In fact, they said if he makes it to the checkered flag, he probably will not make it back around for the next lap.
Wow. Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on that. Kenny Wallace led 16 laps, has given it up here on lap number 87. And a whole bunch of activity back of him.
Jerry Mayfield, the 12 car, the mobile car, has gone a lap down. Car is certainly not up to speed. I would guess maybe lost a gear in the transmission or something. Is Robbie Gordon back there still working on Ricky Rudd. The battle for the 6th position.
And Jerry talked about how close it might be for Jeff Gordon. I expect there are a lot of other cars out there that it's going to be very close too. Those last few laps, they'll be sweating it if this thing goes green the rest of the way.
And when Jeff crosses the line, we'll have 25 laps to go. Doc?
Well, Ned, you're exactly right. You consider that Jeff Gordon normally gets pretty good gas mileage, so if he's going to be very close, how about the guys that haven't gotten nearly as good a gas mileage the 24 car has, like the 6 car? They are really sweating bullets, and the 2 car. As the car number 55, Kenny Wallace makes what should be his final pit stop, headed down to you, John Kernan.
And Kenny 2 pit stalls away, swings the car in. It'll be a 4-tire change with no chassis adjustments. Their only hope now is that everybody else out there has to stop again. But as you guys been pointing out, that could happen, maybe not. It's going to be close. But the left side's now going on. It's full of fuel. They look inside, and you can see the fuel pouring out, the overflow. And that's something to keep an eye on because that's been the problem that has cost them all afternoon long. They've lost about 4 gallons out of a tank out there on the racetrack from going out the overflow.
You know what would be the best thing could happen to him right now? Then he made a pit stop and concentrate.
Oh, yeah, because all these other cars would drive in and put on fresh tires. And
he'd have them. He'd be right out front again.
Oh, look at all that fuel. Look at that fuel come out.
Man, oh, man.
He does lose a lot of that fuel. Man.
There is supposed to be a little flapper valve in the vent that keeps that fuel in there, but obviously it's not working properly on Kenny Wallace's car.
Well, Jeff Gordon has the lead over Ward Burton, Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, and Robbie Gordon. We have had 7 leaders today and 10 lead changes. Sterling Marlin has led the most laps so far, 25. Jeff has been out front for 19. Kenny Wallace led 16, Rusty 11, Pruitt 10, Robbie Gordon 5, and John Andretti was out front in 2 laps in Tony Stewart's car. And we have Kenny Irwin and Steve Park spinning in turn number 11. I don't think this is going to be the caution that would benefit Kenny Wallace.
Well, if he can get, he finally did get it fired. Kenny Irwin did. And we understand that Jeremy Mayfield, who got left not too long ago, made a pit stop, and then here's a replay, but anyway, Jeremy Mayfield got a penalty as we watch this.
See, Steve Park got in the corner and just locked up the right front tire trying to slow down, and when he locked up the tires, the car won't turn. You folks, when you have the brakes on, the car will not turn. He gets in the corner, and when the brakes locked up, he just slid right over in the side of Kenny Irwin, and both the cars went around.
And we hear that Rusty Wallace has thoughts of pitting, right, Jerry?
Exactly, Bob, for a couple of reasons. They lost the track position with that spin up there a little bit ago in turn 7, plus the fact they are so very close on fuel. They figure they can go ahead and get him in, put gas in the car, put 4 tires on it, get him back out in front of the leaders. If there is a caution flag, then they're sitting golden. If there's not, well, he just drives it to the finish line and hopes some other guys run out of gas and he can gain some spots. But they can't afford to take a chance. Rusty will pit this time by.
I think that's a good strategy.
So do I. I think that's a really good strategy right now because he's back in about 20th position, 21st position. He might as well go in and take a chance.
So Rusty is in the pit box, Jerry.
This could be a strategy move, as you guys said, that could possibly win him a race. All he needs is a caution flag. Deliberate pit stop for Rusty Wallace. Billy Wilburn, left front tire coming off. Earl Marvin, one big pound on that jack in the car, goes in the air. Left side tire's on. Great pit stop. They got it full of fuel. Great stop for the Miller Lite crew. Rusty back down and away.
And look how many times we've seen that 14 number up there today. We saw it on Earnhardt. We saw it on Skinner. Now Rusty Wallace, with maybe the race on the line, pulls off on 14.8.
Looks like he's going to be about 8 or 10 seconds ahead of Jeff Gordon, so he does stay on the lead lap.
22 laps to go here at Sears Point. Lap number 90 is completed. Jeff Gordon leads Ward Burton, Sterling Marlin, Ricky Rudd, and Mark Martin. Raceway, Sonoma, California. Our Pennzoil Copter Cam is showing you the area of corner number 11 here. As Jeff Gordon continues to lead, Ward Burton has relinquished his runner-up position to make a pit stop. He is now back on course.
Brett Bodine, who had such a terrific run going earlier, and see Bobby Labonte battle for the 8th position. There goes Labonte trying to get by. He's got position now. This should be able to get it, and he does. Taking position away from Earnhardt.
All 3 of those points leaders, 1, 2, 3 there. That's the way they are in the points. Bobby Labonte in front, Dale Earnhardt in second, and DJ in third in points. Of course, that's not the position they're on the racetrack. They are running 9th, 10th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Dale Jarrett has moved to third in the point standings, gaining 5 positions in the point standings in the last 8 races. He has been on a tear. On board with DJ.
4 quality care onboard cameras. We go down the S's and see these guys going from one curve to the other curve, trying to make those S's just as straight as they possibly can down the back.
You know, Dale Jarrett is driving today the same car that Davey Allison won with here at Sears Point back in 1991. Remember that when there was the last lap skirmish between Rudd and Allison? That's the same car that Davey won with.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that. Of course, it's got different sheet metal on it.
There goes their second place car. Right now, Jeff Gordon has a 5-second lead on Sterling Marlin, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, and Bobby Gordon.
Robert Presley has dropped off the pace a little bit. He's still out there running, but he's not running up to full speed.
And that is Borsett, of course, in relief for Robert Presley. 2 laps down.
Just about caught the 33 car, the Oakwood Homes car of Joe Nemechek.
I think Bobby Labonte, after that pit stop, he dropped back a few positions. He came out of the pits right behind Dale Jarrett. He dropped back 2 or 3 positions, and I think he was conserving fuel there for a little while, but now apparently they've turned him loose. He's passed all those cars that he'd lost to, plus passing Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt. And as you say, gaining on the 33 car of Joe Nemechek.
Taking over the 7th position.
Not too far up in front of him is the 4 car of Bobby Hamilton.
Joe Nemechek is driving that car that looks purple, and then it looks blue, and then it looks brown, and then it looks gold. The Oakwood Homes Chevy. Here's Gordon with a 5.2-second advantage on Sterling Marlin.
Now that 77 car we talked about is going very, very slow through the S's here. I don't know if he'll get back. He should be able to coast down if he's trying to get to the garage area.
Behind Gordon, pretty good battle here as Marlin, Rudd, Mark Martin, and Bobby Gordon are all running very close together.
Martin goes down the corner, tries to slam on the brakes, and see the 77 car going in the pit area there.
Here are a couple of cars that made pit stops. They're racing for 26 and 27. That is Mike Bliss ahead of Rusty Wallace there. They both of them made pit stops not too long ago. And battling for that position back in the back and just hoping for a caution.
Mike Bliss was running up in the top 15 and spun in one of the corners, and he's back now in the clutches of Rusty Wallace. And Rusty has fresh tires on him right now on this car, so he should be able to pass Bliss. Gain on him, he is, but I tell you what, catching somebody and passing here is very, very hard.
And the battle for 6th here as Bobby Labonte comes up on Bobby Hamilton and takes the position down through the chute.
Boy,
wow.
He just zipped right on by, didn't he?
That was impressive.
Now here comes Nemechek up on Hamilton. Now remember, Hamilton did not take on tires during that last pit stop. He only took fuel. Got great track position, but you wonder if that's beginning to tell on him a little bit now. They've run quite a while on those tires. He had about 10 laps on the tires before he came in for the fuel.
Bobby Labonte, he can keep it going, will lead this racetrack a lot better off this year than last year. As a matter of fact, about any time he's been on a road course.
Yeah, he finished 27th here at Sears Point last year and 24th at Watkins Glen. Road courses have not been his specialty. However, he is doing well today, running in 6th position. Not quite his best finish here at Sears Point. He was 4th in 98. He took the points lead after Darlington, then lost it at Talladega, and then retook it at California, and has been at the front of the point standings ever since.
Here's the leader, but his lead has been cut down from over 5 seconds to 4 seconds.
So Sterling Marlin is catching, and what Jeff Gordon is doing is saving as much fuel as possible, because as we heard from the pits a few moments ago, it is going to be very, very close for Jeff Gordon. They don't know whether he's got enough to go the distance or not. Sears Point looking for his 6th consecutive win on a road course in Winston Cup racing. Now, we talked about how the lead was being shaved off by Sterling Marlin. It was down to about 4.5 seconds. Well, it's back up to 5.4 seconds. But again, there is a serious question as to whether Jeff has enough gas to finish the race. Sterling Marlin coming out here in the Coors Light Chevy is running in second position. Now, during our break, Robbie Gordon relinquished fifth position for a pit stop. Bill, what'd they do?
Well, Bob, they're hoping it's a different Gordon that goes to victory lane here when the checkered flag comes out, but they weren't going to make it to the end on fuel. So, because basically one of their problems is they're having a fuel pickup problem as well. So they wanted to be a first out scenario. First in, first out. They gave Robbie fuel to get to the finish and 4 tires, hoping that the rest of the guys can't make it. We'll see if it works out.
Jerry? Calculations on Jeff Gordon's pit stop. We told you it was close. How close? Let me tell you specifically. Now, the fuel cell holds 22 gallons. If you calculate that, you may get a half a gallon or more from the lines between the fuel cell and the engine. They do calculations based on 22.5 gallons. Those calculations based on what he's getting per gallon say he can make it 111.91 laps. This race is 112 laps.
So in other words, it sounds like when he goes down into turn 11, somewhere along there, that he'd run out of fuel. But he's got a big enough lead now that he could maybe coast back up there. I don't know.
He lost a little time there as he caught the Kevin LePage car and put another lap on Kevin LePage. LePage has had some mechanical problems with the FamilyClick.com car today, and now he's slow going through the S's.
Now remember, the 20 Home Depot Pontiac is under the control now of John Andretti, who has gotten in as a relief driver for Tony Stewart. And Andretti has come back up to the 12th position. He was 27th on the restart and now up to 12th.
Hey, that is a drive.
Yes, it is.
Because it is very difficult to pass on this racetrack. And yeah, super job.
Well, let's update Kyle Petty for you. Kyle is running in the 15th position. He, of course, started from the outside of the front row.
Right now, Kyle has some problems. He's not up to speed right now. Steve Park just got by him. Robbie Gord just got by him.
We understand he was off course just a few minutes ago, and so Kyle will lose a few more positions, and he goes now back to 19th position. It has not been a particularly good day for Matt Kenseth, who led in the rookie points coming into this event. Matt is a lap down, running in 31st. He and Brett Bodine are racing for position here, the 31st spot. And Brett looks to the inside. As you can see, the leader, Jeff Gordon, is right behind them, and Brett will not make an effort here in turn 11.
Now, this is going to slow Jeff Gordon down considerably. As a matter of fact, it has slowed him down already considerably because Sterling Marlin is now just 3.6 seconds behind. But now Sterling Marlin also has to catch these cars and pass them, and it ought to slow his speed down.
21 car of Elliott Sadler. Back in 38th position, he is 21 laps down.
He's had a tough day. They made some contact with Kenny Irwin and had to limp back around the pits with a flat tire, and I think it damaged some other parts on this Sitco Ford.
And the word is that the Wood brothers are going to have a relationship with Jack Roush in 2001, right, Ned?
A deeper relationship, yes. They've had an alliance with him for the last couple of years. It started out with engines, and then it got a little bit deeper involved, but next year they will actually use chassis that are built at Roush's shops. And so it won't be another Roush team, but it'll be the closest thing to it.
See, Jeff Gordon is winding down. As he comes by this time, there'll be 8 more laps. And I tell you what, Robbie Loomis, Brian Watson, that entire crew, they've got to be nervous, just wondering, do we have enough fuel to make it to the end?
And Sterling Marlin lost a couple of tenths there in that lap as Jeff was able to stretch the advantage just a little bit to 3.8 seconds. Jerry?
It's amazing how as the laps count down, the crew chief's confidence begins to wane a little bit. When they pitted on lap 70, I asked Scott Eggleson, the crew chief for Sterling Marlin, can you make it the rest of the way? He said, oh, yeah, we should be okay on fuel. And about 10 laps ago, I said, how are you guys on fuel? He said, oh, I'm 75% sure we can make it. I just now asked him, he said, well, I'm almost 60% sure we can make it the rest of the way. As the laps count down, the doubt begins to creep in.
All we can do is wait and see. Sterling Marlin, by the way, will celebrate his 43rd birthday this coming Friday. There he is, running second, ahead of Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin and Bobby Labonte.
These slow cars might be exactly what Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin needs as Sterling Marlin runs across them and catches them.
Talk about Bobby Labonte there. He's one of the fastest cars on the track. In fact, several laps he has been the fastest. That's last time around he was the fastest car on the racetrack. He is catching this group of cars right here. Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin. You see him come into the picture there before too long. Ricky Rudd, of course, in there. Whoops. Rudd and Mark Martin close together there as he finished against Brett Ledine. Now Mark Martin wants to make a pass.
And will. Mark Martin up in third spot now.
And there you see Bobby Labonte, that Interstate Batteries Pontiac, coming right into the picture. He has run them down from at least 5 or 6 seconds back.
Our Circuit City onboard camera watches Bobby Labonte going down through the S's.
Behind Bobby Labonte in the 6th spot is Dale Earnhardt. He's about 14 seconds behind. There is Dale Jarrett, who is in 7th position.
Then comes Joe Nemechek in the 8th position, and there's Jerry Nadeau. He's done a good job. He's driven up to the 9th position now.
He spun out earlier in the race. See, back in lap 42, he was in 32nd position. 36th on lap 21 is now up to 9th, and make that 8th maybe. Yes.
Yep. Jerry Nadeau up to 8th position. As Joe Nemechek now goes back to 9th.
And Jerry Nadeau, another driver that has qualified well here at Sears Point, but has never raced well, has always had some problems. Today might be the day he's looking for, learning how to finish on these tough road courses.
As we watch Jeff Gordon and see Sterling Marlin come into the picture there, John Andretti now is driven that 20 car up to 10th position.
Andretti just passed Michael Waltrip to take over the 10th position.
And Rusty Wallace, remember folks, he broke the track record on the pole position, and he got off course. There's Rusty Wallace. He's now around the racetrack in 22nd position. He stopped a few laps ago, put on 4 fresh tires, put the fuel in to make it to the end of the race, hoping that some of these guys will not be able to make it to the end on fuel.
He is 57 seconds behind Jeff Gordon. Which I believe would be, even they could come in and take a splash of fuel and still get back out before Rusty would get around.
Less than 5 laps, less than 10 miles to go.
Boy, Sterling Marlin, I can't say enough for the job he's done today, because, you know, we never talk about Sterling Marlin being a road racer, but he's been up there. He's led lap today, and right now, pretty comfortable in 2nd spot.
And I was concerned when he only took 2 tires. He took left side tires. The left sides are the ones that takes the biggest abuse on the road course since you're going clockwise. And he only took 2. Everybody else took 4. And he has done a great job of staying out there.
And Bill Weber has a report on the 28 car of Ricky Rudd. He's 4th.
Yeah, Bobby just lost the position to Mark Martin about a lap ago, and Ricky radioed in and said the rear tires are just gone, no grip left back there. This team's still crossing their fingers that maybe they're the only ones that can make it to the finish, but it's going to be very close for them as well.
Jeff Gordon completes the 108th lap of the race. 4 to go.
4 more laps, that's all. What is that, 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons? Can Mark make it, Jerry?
Well, Benny, a moment ago, Jimmy Finnick just told Mark there's going to be a lot of cars that may run out of gas on the very last lap. He told Mark one eye out the windshield, the other eye on that fuel pressure gauge. Keep an eye on it. If it fluctuates, we can't take a chance.
Don't go away, folks. Although we've got less than 4 to go, it could get real interesting here in the last laps.
Yes, it could. And, man, if you run out of gas, after you go past the pit entrance, you are dead in the water. You know, you couldn't even coast to the top of the hill if you couldn't get a third of the way around the racetrack. 27 cars on the lead lap.
Yep.
And Rusty is fine.
It's down in turn 11, the hairpin.
He's running 22nd. See if he loses any positions because of it. Gets the car going once again, and he'll cross the line to complete his 108th lap.
I think Terry Labonte got by.
Yeah, he got down to 27. Yeah. So a tough afternoon for Rusty Wallace. But there is Jeff Gordon now with less than 3 laps to go.
Let's see if we can see what might have happened to Rusty Wallace going down. Comes off turn 10. Goes down the corner. Whoop, wheel hopping. Wheel hop.
You can hear it. Around he went.
When he downshifted the car, you hear that bub, 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 bub. That was the rear wheels hopping. And when that you lose control, all control. There's one way to fix that, but I don't know if I could think fast enough to do it. Push the clutch in.
Bobby Labonte has just gone into 4th position, passing Ricky Rudd. So the points leader gains a few more points. Jeff Gordon, 11 straight top 10 finishes on road courses, 5 straight victories en route to number 6, but does he have the fuel to carry him across the start-finish line? He'll come up to complete lap number 110, 2 laps less than 4 miles to go. And we'll show you how Bobby Labonte passed Ricky Rudd to gain 4th spot.
Coming by the start-finish line, gets on the outside, and as Rudd talked about, he just has lost the grip in this car. He can't really charge in these corners the way that he wants to. Labonte gets position on the inside and takes the spot away.
He was on the outside in that last corner, but when he went that next one, he was on the inside, and that was allowing him to take a position.
Now Mark Martin begins to mount a challenge on Sterling Marlin. By the way, it will be Sterling's first road course top 5 if he can finish in the top 5 in 30 races. His best finish to this point has been 6th. Once here at Sears Point, once here at Watkins Glen, and they're side by side going through corner number 11, and Marlin maintains the position.
But just barely.
Corner 7, I believe they're in there.
And now Bobby Labonte closes in on Mark Martin as we are nearing the final lap of the race. That's turn 10.
Bobby Labonte's great run today. I don't know who will be more satisfying for, him or his brother Terry. I always see Sterling Marlin smoke that right front, goes up the hill. Can Mart get it?
Go clear. Come on, buddy. Come on. Clear all around. Nice and smooth now. One more time. White flag, man. White flag.
White flag is indeed out. 1 more lap to go. Jeff Gordon with a 5-second advantage on Sterling Marlin, but can the fuel carry him the distance?
Talking about Bobby Labonte when that pass almost happened for second spot. Terry Labonte is a very accomplished road racer. You know it's taught Bobby a great deal about getting around these road courses. It sounds like, it looks like that Bobby has listened well. He's done a fantastic job here today at Sears Point.
Down through the chute, corner number 7 for the final time for Jeff Gordon. He started on the pole here last year and won. He started 3rd at Watkins Glen last year and won. He's up through the Essex.
Now going downhill, but still he's got to have some fuel. He's got to have some gas to get on back to the start-finish line. But it looks like he's still running good when he comes by our position here.
Well, he was born in Vallejo, California, not too far from Sears Point, and the hometown fans are loving it. The people gathered around us here have their arms in the air cheering for Jeff Gordon. But let's see if he can make it. He's through corner number 11, still appears to have adequate power. And Jeff Gordon comes down and wins his sixth consecutive road course race at Sears Point International Raceway, beating Sterling Marlin and Mark Martin by 4 seconds.
Ricky Rudd comes across the line in the 5th position. Earnhardt is 6th. Jarrett 7th. How about that Gordon kid, huh?
Wow. Unbelievable. It's his 51st career win.
Breaks him out of a tie with Rusty Wallace and Junior Johnson and somebody else.
I think his name is Jared, isn't it? But isn't Dale either. Indeed, Jeff Gordon wins here at Sears Point, his 3rd consecutive win here. We will talk to Jeff in just a moment when we return for the victory celebration at Sears Point Raceway. He has won again on a road course and continues his record streak. It's now up to 6 consecutive wins on the road courses.
That is quite an accomplishment.
It's his 2nd win of 2000. He won, of course, at Talladega. Sports Center is coming up next. Stay with us for that in just a moment. We want to get a brief conversation with Jeff Gordon. Let's take a look at the results. Marlin, Martin, Labonte, and Rudd, the top 5. Earnhardt came home 6th. Jarrett was 7th, and Nadeau, followed by Gordon. Tony Stewart gets credit for 10th, although John Andretti drove the car to the 10th place finish.
See, 27 cars finished in the lead lap. Terry Labonte will finish 27th. DW, the first car lap down. Here's the remainder of the field.
John Andretti with that problem finished last.
And the points now, after 16 of 34, Earnhardt drops a few. He's now 67 behind Bobby Labonte, with Jarrett 129 back. Ricky Rudd moves up 2 in the point standings. Martin up 2, Stewart down 1, and Rusty Wallace drops 3 positions in the point standings as a result of his 26th place finish here this afternoon. Well, Jeff Gordon has arrived in victory lane. And the warm afternoon here in the Sonoma Valley has come to an end, but it ends with another victory for Jeff Gordon. Once again, we remind you that all the news from the world of sports coming up in just a moment on SportsCenter, so stay with us. Jeff Gordon will be out of his car in just a moment. We'll get a quick word with him and then send it to SportsCenter.
I think Jeff's a little hot. Tired, very tired. This is a very demanding, very, very demanding, physically demanding track for these drivers.
Well, and exhausted, Jeff Gordon climbs out. Jeffrey, 6th win in a row, and I know it was very, very close. He reached over to Brooke, his wife, give her a big hug and a kiss. Climbs out of the car. He was trying to get his breath and take tape off his hand. Gives his car owner, Rick Hendrick, a huge hug. Boy, what an endeavor they've had this. And take a look at this hand here. Take this right hand. Look at the blisters here, and his thumb and his forehead. That's what you talk about being a patriot, being a champion here. How about those last few laps of fuel very close?
Oh, man, I tell you what, that was exciting. I just drove my heart out, and my hand pretty much shows that this DuPont Chevrolet was awesome today. I tell you what, we didn't really have to do much to it all day. Car was just perfect. I just needed track position, and some of those guys had some trouble, and we just did exactly what we've done here in the past, and that's what we need to do every weekend, and we can win, and that's just get it all together all at once. And happened at Talladega, and it's great to be able to do it again here at Sears Point. My hat's off to Robbie Loomis and Brian Weitzel, this entire pit crew. They did an awesome job. I tell you, DuPont Chevrolet was great.
2nd win of 2006 in a row in road course racing for Jeff Gordon. What an effort today for this DuPont team.
And he'll try to continue that streak at Watkins Glen. Stay tuned for SportsCenter. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com.